GRYSKLL.
Sir Sheed,
What's happening, bro?
what's going on with you?
I can't call it.
Yeah, I was telling Shad that I'm gonna have to bug out around 9:30.
Okay.
'Cause, it's still birthday festivities. So my wife was like, we're not done yet. So
Okay.
I'm gonna hang out with her after that. So
Family first around here.
Indeed.
how's everybody's week been so far?
I'm on staycation, so
Oh, that's why you off this week, huh?
yeah.
That's what's up.
It ain't stopped that phone from ringing, but I ain't answering.
I feel you. Yeah, I haven't done anything stupid this week, so it's still time, but you know.
Always time.
If y'all can still hear me, I was going to say one thing I was trying to think of when we have guests like these people who aren't necessarily hip hoppers off the break is it might be a good idea to have like a hip hop related question, like what's your first hip hop history memory or something like that. If you guys have any ideas or suggestions, open to them.
Right.
Yeah, and the only other thing, not to switch gears, but let's try to catch that 5-10 minutes on the Craig G joint as well, man. Just try to clear that up.
Shit,
Yeah, I was just trying to wait till everybody was settled in before I even started talking about it.
Yeah.
Maybe
Nah,
you
I
should
feel you.
just not talk.
Nah, he's the one that gotta talk.
Right, yeah.
That's funny to say. We have to be doing this every week, huh, Bear?
There you go. Supreme
for last
Oscars
week.
himself.
Man, I love this, man. It's the type of dynamic you need for a show like this too, man. You need somebody that's going to be a little extra soft, somebody who's going to be a little extra abrasive, and you need somebody to play the middle.
I get y'all in trouble.
Yeah, I'll be the butterscotch.
I'm that one friend at the bar that always starting fights and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Can't take him nowhere.
Or Tobias on stage.
Man, that play, man, you cut that in perfectly, man. We
Yeah.
telling the story, then all of a sudden he'd be like, man, all y'all mumble rappers suck.
Like that. Y'all wanted to get your Bear, I was trying to find your video, the audio you sent us the other day, man. I was gonna sneak that into this week's episode from when she was talking about your encounter with the dude trying to buy the gold.
Uh-huh.
I was gonna sneak your little audio in there to give it some context because I left that part in. I thought it was entertaining, man. So if you want to send it to me again, I can try and put it side back in before I push the episode out. But this one's I know this episode is kind of on the fence about whether we want to do anything about it. So I want you guys to look at it first anyway.
All right.
What's going on, Damon?
What's going on, Q? How y'all doing, fellas?
Peace.
Peace.
What up?
All right.
There you go. Supreme Oscars.
Supreme Oscars.
That joint you shared earlier too. Dope. What was that? A couple days ago? Sorry, my days are scrambled as hell.
Was it everybody? Everyone?
Everybody, yeah.
Everybody.
Oh yeah. Thank you. Yeah, everybody. Thanks. Yeah, T-Bear. Shit.
Yeah, we was low key talking about you in the joint. Alex was like, we gotta get on Demond work level. I was like, I don't know if I can get there, bro. I don't know if I can get there, man. I tried. Demond be putting them out, boy.
What's up with Al anyway? He's sick?
He's better now. I think he's pretty much over it now. He said his daughter had got a little touch of it, but I don't know if she had it as bad as he did. Right. He had me cracking up. He sent me a message. He's like, "Mess with him, tired." He's like, "Man, I started going to bathroom like 9 o'clock last night. I've been in there ever since."
Damn.
That'd be an ugly sight.
Yeah, man.
Wow. Yeah. So what about the friendly game of baseball? Is you two, right?
Yeah.
Is he gonna be able to submit even though he's sick?
Yeah, he's good now. He's straight. Yeah, he's straight. Yeah, he's straight.
Okay.
Now,
Look at that spark.
No, man, like I'm trying to figure out how, like, where the line is at. You know what I'm saying? Like,
is there a line? Yeah,
there's always a line with me. You know what I'm saying? Like there's always a line. It just moves. So you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Y'all got to go back at it again too.
Yeah. And like we try not to talk about it, like when we talk,
right?
Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, it'd be like the little joint and pass, like, we doing this again, huh? They try to change the subject real quick. Yeah, man, it's just hilarious. Man,
what track did y'all get? I know we have a dun 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 dun.
Oh,
dun, dun,
word! Y'all got Feral Munch. Simon Says.
Godzilla joint.
Yeah, we got True Master.
True Master.
Yeah, the Genius. That might be a Primo beat.
Pete Rock?
Pete Rock.
Is that Pete Rock beat?
I think it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Y'all got
I was
some
thinking
beat this
Primo.
time.
Yeah.
I just talked about that joint.
Yeah.
The True Master joint. Man,
I feel like somebody you wasn't.
all the verses that Dex said, I mean, them's is like battle ready verses, man.
You were talking about how you visit that.
I might have to go bite his verses because I ain't started writing jack yet. You know? I might have to bite them joints.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of spiking, I was thinking about, man, T, you think you can turn it up a notch? Because I know he's going to be ready with productions. He's going to be having drops. He's going to add some shit in there. Billy Clinton. Yeah.
Yeah, he
Probably.
his production is dope, yo. Like that's
where he gets it.
Yeah, I mean, plus he can rhyme. You know what I'm saying? But that, like, yeah, he basically changed the complexion of the whole joint. Like at first,
he really did
rhyming. Yeah, that mug came in, which was good. You know what I mean? Shit woke me up. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting a little too sweet up in there, huh?
Again, you know, like it's
cruise control.
You get up for certain people, other people you don't. You know what I mean? Had I known, I probably would have went a different route. But I was like, you know, the history had shown if there wasn't GRYSKLL cats. So I was like, all right. A couple punchlines.
Have fun with it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I heard that shit. I was like, shit made me sit up in bed. He wasn't going like that. Word? Yeah.
That was hilarious.
Okay. So we'll see what happens then. You ran into a brick wall, man.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you on your work ethic drink right now too. Yo.
Oh yeah. In stride.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was telling Alex, like, yo, I ain't really wrote nothing, like a couple bars here and there for like a, you know, imperial joint or them, you know, the little Instagram joints, but I ain't really been in the mood to write, man. So
I know that feeling.
I'm gonna have to.
Okay, yeah, I know that feeling too.
I'm gonna have to find me something to get some motivation. You said you've been at opposite Q?
Yeah, I spent the past few days actually writing, which is the first time it's been I haven't felt that motivated in a long time. So, yeah, I got something in the works. We'll see what happens. Y'all might never hear it, or you might get something next week. We never know.
Let's go, Q.
Sure, let's get it. Yeah.
We just need to have you go at Rashid to wake him up. Maybe get him activated.
We don't need that. No, we don't need that. We don't need that. Nah, we don't need that.
I'll work on that this weekend.
We don't need that, man.
She's like, I'm sick of swinging this sword, man.
Yeah, man. Like I'm
sick of cutting nipples.
It was like, I think it might have been me and Demar. I was like, this shit was cool, but I'm ready for it to be over now. Like, it should have been like 5 months. You know what I mean?
It has.
Yeah.
It has. It's been a couple months.
Yeah.
Since the end of the year last year. You're right about that.
Yeah. It was turning into real work.
He said,
You know what I mean?
right. That's why your writer's block coming from. Right.
Yeah, I done shot my load on them shit. So
But you got so many damn verses off them reels and shit. You could probably make some songs out of some of them, man.
Oh yeah, that's a great
Somebody on them? Hey, so you definitely got stuff that you could do, I guess, if you're not feeling. Plus, you're in DJ season too, though. So does that sap some of your creative energy?
Not really. If anything, it kind of helps it. The only problem is, like, you know, when I get home, I be so amped up, I don't go to bed. So I get in 11, 12 o'clock at night, unload. They all asleep. So I come in here. I look up. It's like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, man. Well, so guess I go lay down for a couple hours.
Yeah, DJ joints. You don't gotta like DJ MC Hammer and Vanilla Ice and shit like that, or
nah. Nah.
Safe so far, huh?
Nah. And the thing, like, you know, the funny thing is, like, so the like the company that I kind of work through or whatever, like on the website, people put mixes up so that potential customers can listen to them. So, like the joint I threw up, I was just all over the place. Like I did it like I would kind of mix at a wedding. Like, you know, there's gonna be people in their teens, there's gonna be people in their 70s. So I had like Motown in there. I had like kind of stuff people would know, like OPP. You know what I'm saying?
Oh wow.
So
then I did.
Right,
right, that's right next to
except, I would like I have played that. Like I'll play Under Pressure and then kind of go into that. But if I do that, I'll probably usually go into like some sort of rock set and then like play some classic rock stuff and then get them into like a sing-along set with that kind of stuff. So at that point, I really ain't even mixing. Now it's just about song selection. So yeah, it you know, it like, you know, I do like a pop sing-along set. Yeah, man, like they usually get a show unless
sing-along set.
You know, unless
that's
they
probably
just
my
like,
favorite set. Yeah.
You know, and they be fun. And like I tell people, like, yo, I'm gonna dance at your wedding. I'm just telling you now. Like you're gonna look up at some point. I'm gonna be on the dance floor. It's gonna happen. Right. Like I got like pictures with people like grandmothers and stuff that they'll send me like, yo, my grandmother's still talking about this dance. I'm like, word. All right.
You out there with the hammer pants on and
basically, yeah. I'll be on my Korean Muse joint, a hoodie with a blazer over it, you know, like the best.
Couple polka dots.
Yeah, I'll be on my Korean Muse.
Oh, no. Hilarious. Not the polka dot. Did anybody do polka dot? Did that take off? Yeah.
My brother was big into it.
Hard.
My brother was
hard
big
with the
into
polka
it.
dots.
And actually,
I had the black top and the white bottoms with the white polka dots and the black polka dots.
If I could have afforded it, I probably would have.
What are you doing? Stop! You don't have clothes on.
Yeah, what are you doing? Hard. I even had the little dye patch.
Dye
patch. And the big country part that went all the way around with the little step. I went hard.
Yeah, my brother was big into shit, and at the time, my mom had gotten sick, so she wasn't working, so she started making clothes. So she made them like a polka dot outfit, John. Like we got a picture of it somewhere, yo. Yeah.
I went so hard that I actually had my name in the back of my head. Like I got my shit cut in the back of my head. But I went to the park one day, and this white lady called me. She was like, I was going by my middle name at the time, Dennis. And I'm looking around like this white lady ain't calling me. And she's like, yeah, you. And I was like, how did you know my name? She was like, I was trying to ask you about that. I was never so nervous in my life, yo.
Oh, that's hilarious. Was that the last time?
Yeah, it was. I cut that shit right off.
That's hilarious.
I was in middle school, so you know.
That's crazy. That's crazy cool though, actually. Yeah, I had the lightning bolt.
Wild haircuts?
Oh yeah.
What'd you do?
The lightning bolt, the Nike, the swoosh, the big heart.
Yeah.
Man.
We aging the shit out of ourselves, yo.
We really are at this point. Because I missed the polka dot, but I did do the flower shirts. When the flower shirts were out, the rayon
shit,
patent leather shoes.
joints.
I had the rayon shit.
Oh yeah,
Semi hammer pants. I ain't go all the way hammer pants, but they was close enough, man. Shit, I don't know what they were called.
I had 2 pairs of hammer pants. I can't even front. I had some turquoise ones and some mustard ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you a dancer too?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Requirement for you.
I was trying.
Definitely. Wow.
With my half-ass hammer pants, people like, "Oh, you dance?" Nah, I didn't know. Just so dance.
Just the fastest.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
These are plier pants, not
I
hammer
had
pants.
locks too, so the locks, everybody automatically assumed with the locks too back then.
Right.
So,
Man, I knew the whole dance routine for Big Daddy Kane's I Get the Job Done. Like did the backflip and everything. Like I had 2 boys who would actually put their hands down and make me do the backflip shit.
What?
Yeah. And I landed the fake split.
hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
Way hip hop.
Yeah.
Way hip hop. Now we did.
I'm gonna have to see if I can find some video from a performance. Yo, talk about the fake split cue. I had that fake split down to a science, fam. I was just, man, listen, I could fake split with the best of them.
And could you like bring it back up and then go right into the
Oh yeah, yeah. I had to the jump over your legs.
Mm-hmm.
I had grab your leg, jump over it, then jump backwards to it. Yeah, I couldn't dance, so I just happened to have those couple of things, man.
I had that over the leg, John. I had that much going down, yeah. And I could do a split. I damn sure ain't look good doing nothing after that split.
If my knees still work, I challenge she to a battle, but you know.
That's a move.
Let me that house party routine. The house party
I just take it because it's a challenge anyway. Yeah, house party routine was the shit. She might just take the challenge for the sake of it being a challenge in itself.
Challenge.
And then I end up in a damn hospital because my knees are just like, nope, not happening. Two moves in.
I'm 50 now. I'm trying to be not as confrontational as I was in the past. So yeah. Old Steve would have accepted that. New Steve, I don't know so much.
You have to get under the skin with that. Well, that means that verse you penned this weekend is going to be extra fire. They don't have to be extra fire. They don't have to be don't put no sauce on nothing.
I don't need nothing. It's bad enough I got to deal with Alex. Yeah. I don't need nothing else.
I want my sandwich no mayo, no ketchup, no mustard, just bread and meat.
Bread, meat and bread.
Pause.
Matter of fact, you don't even need the meat.
Yeah, just give me a vegetarian joint. Yeah.
Wow.
Buns and lettuce.
Yeah, some lettuce, tomato, a little bit of onion to add some seasoning, but I'm gonna take it off before I eat it.
Buns and lettuce. We got 2 titles already: Buns and Lettuce and Gordon the Trail.
Oh, Gordon the Trail was like joint, man. I made an album cover out of a photo of Theo in that shirt, in that Gordon Gartrell shirt. I forgot what I did with it, but
Whoa, that's fire. That's kind of what I was thinking too. Like,
yeah. I'll have to see if I can figure out where that is and what happened to it, man. But
I would wear that shirt today, yo.
I know that joint rocked today.
Oh man, hilarious. What was the name of the joint that it was?
I can't remember. I'm trying to see if I can remember anything about it right now. I'm looking at my phone trying to see if I can see anything that jog my memory, man. Wow. I don't even know where to look for that, man.
All those little good ideas you know what I'm saying? Put them back together.
Man, all the ones I thought were trash, man. I'm gonna have to look at all of them again and just reevaluate.
Oh man.
That was this.
Man, speaking of which, man, kudos to you and Kareem on the Zone Pitchfork, man.
Oh man, thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah.
Man. It's so hip hop. Unexpected hip hop. His uncle? What was it? Was it his uncle? Yeah. Oh man. Big Unc. Yeah, was there in the beginning.
Yeah, and Kareem was dope. Jams. That shit was crazy. I didn't even know Kareem was gonna ask him that shit. Like this is all just following Kareem's ideas and visions. He got some people that want to do some things, so we're just trying to test them out and see what's happening, man. They just turn it into something, man. So I appreciate the feedback. It's real helpful, man. It helps a lot, man. It gives definitely the tank to keep it going.
Yeah, keep it going. Oh, I have.
What's up with the podcast, Bully, man? I love that idea, bro.
Oh yes.
If you want,
Forget about the damn podcast, buddy.
Well, if you
I'm gonna do it. I need.
If you need any help with it, man, just say the word, man. Just say what you need, man.
Okay.
Sure.
You know what I did? Finish. I forgot. I had that footage from day one. Damn. So.
Oh yeah.
It feel like it's so long ago. Yeah. I gotta send that to you.
I'll chop it up.
Okay.
Hell yeah, man.
All right. Cool. I got it on the home computer. I gotta send it out to you.
So how did it go recording? Did you enjoy recording it?
Yeah. Went good. What you talking about? Day one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yep. Made sure I was in the center. Yeah. It turned out a hell of a lot better than the footage I sent in the beginning. But yeah, a couple of little scenes.
That's dope.
It worked out.
Yeah. The more the better, man, because it's just more practice for me, more practice for all of us, man. Practice on camera work, all that shit. And the more we can learn to do on our own individually by doing this, one, the more of a story we have, but two is just, the better we'll all get through it, man. The more comfortable y'all will get on camera, the more ideas you guys will have when it's time to do videos with, if we got, budgets for videos and shit at some point in time. So all the practice now makes a huge difference. Every bit of practice.
Okay, like you said, that's good.
Yeah, that's
early. I definitely got to do my podcast. I'm doing shit.
Yeah, it's a dope ass idea, man. Look at how much traction we got off of you talking about Legendize. That sent us to the point that we ended up talking to Craig G because of you bringing Legendize up.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
I guess we probably have enough people that we should probably do that before the folks jump on.
Speaking of which.
Oh yeah, Sean, do that in your email, by the way.
Okay. There you go.
That recording in your email.
Oh my man, thank you. Yeah. Hey, did you say you sent some new replay values too?
Not this week.
Okay. Well, so I've used all the ones that you sent me though, right? I don't have any outstanding, right?
No, I sent some last week.
Yeah, didn't you send like 5 of them or something like that?
Yeah, I know you ain't used them.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, I got more to grab. I didn't put one in with the one I did this week just because I was rushing, trying to get something out behind or whatever. But plus I threw Damon's joint Supreme Oscar that day, and I figured that out. It's a good week for that.
Thank you for that too.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Definitely, man. As much as possible. That was a genius song, man. It was a beautiful piece of work, man. And seeing how fast you came up with that, put that together, man. That's exciting.
I've been trying to tell y'all, man. That's Damon's secret power, yo. That mug. How you even think about that, yo? Like I'd have never thought of this. Never.
You know what I did? I saw y'all heard of Aguilar? You heard of Aguilar, right?
Yeah.
He has one up. And he made it. He put it out 5 days ago. I checked it out earlier today.
Oh damn, that's all good, man. Because shit,
it's all good. I met him on the bus.
I met him on the bus around here in Silver Spring. Yeah, I met him back when his name was Adolph back in the day.
Adolph, yeah.
I met him on the Y6 bus up near Aspen Hill, right around the corner from my crib. Yeah, we just sitting on the back of the bus, rapping and talking or whatever, and found out he rapped or whatever. We exchanged numbers and everything, but I just never called him. I don't know why I never called him.
It's the April 3rd thing, yo.
It must be. It's the third thing. But yeah, I never called him. I saw him popping on. I saw he was doing all types of shit. I was like, damn, this dude is really doing it, man. That's dope as hell.
Wow. Yeah, that's a very interesting fellow.
Yeah, it was before he dropped Ghetto Girl. I know that. When I saw him, I was like, oh shit, that's the dude.
What's April 3rd?
Wow. Yeah, what is April 3rd?
Here I go.
What's that? That's both of our birthdays.
Oh.
Yeah, we both found out we were born on the same day.
Well, guess what?
What was that, last week?
That's my son's birthday.
It's your son's?
Oh,
yeah.
That's crazy. And it's Eddie Murphy's birthday.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep. And Ray Combs. I remember the old host of the Family Feud, Ray Combs, one that took himself out.
Yep.
Ray Combs, never heard of him.
Yeah, I only remember because I put him in a rhyme back then.
So
I'm not gonna say the line because that's a little disrespectful now.
So to bring things around, March 24th is my son's birthday, my oldest son's birthday, and I was talking about the Craig G situation or whatever, and he was like, we have the same birthday. My oldest son is 21. Somehow he knows who Craig G is, which is dope to me. Like he's a like my kids are hip hop heads, except for my daughter. She only listens to Korean music or something. I don't know. But the boys, they listen to hip hop, you know. And so he was like, we had the same birthday. I was like, God damn it, this is amazing. But you know,
wow, that's amazing. I guess we probably have a good time to make your
yeah. So
we got a segue.
And me and she were talking about it a little bit. First, let's say what's up to Malcolm.
Yep. Malcolm, you got audio now, brother?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's going on, fellas?
Welcome. What's up?
How you doing, brother?
Good to see you. Good to see you. Thank you for coming through.
Appreciate it.
Peace. How you doing, my man?
Peace.
Definitely. We got guests in the house, and thank you very much both for coming. Ms. Davis. What do you prefer to be called, Ms. Davis?
Ayana.
Ayana?
Ayana, okay.
Well, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I've heard a lot about your organization. We're very excited to hear more about what your organization does for our people, or for the people, so to speak. And Malcolm, you and I have already had one great conversation. Thank you again for hooking this up, for reaching out, for speaking to us. I'd love to have you both kind of introduce yourselves and kind of give us a little rundown. And maybe, I don't know if you guys would like introductions from the team or not, but this is GRYSKLL. I guess maybe everybody just kind of maybe mention who you are and what you do. Maybe that'll help give our guests a little settling in time. Mr. Q?
Me?
Oh, I'm Q, otherwise known as the Media Pimp, otherwise known as a bunch of other things at some point, depending on who you're talking to. I'm kind of the newest member and the troublemaker, apparently. But yeah, so I just recently got back into playing around with the music stuff, rapping and producing, and left the world of digital development and design after almost 25 years, and getting back and getting serious about the music again. So that's me.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Demond, I think you're good for next.
All right, I'm Demond Deshawn. I'm basically just myself, a writer, make music, original member of GRYSKLL, brought together by Dragon, yeah. And I don't even know if introduction is necessarily needed. I'm sure you guys have more to offer and hear about. But this Craig G thing, I mean, it's all new to me, but I'm just gonna keep it on the back and get the tea later on. But welcome, and yeah, welcome to our platform. I'm just interested to hear what you guys have to say.
Thank you, Demond. I guess Bear, I guess you feel like giving yourself an intro real quick to the guests in the house.
Oh shit. Yeah. Damn, you know what, man? I started to go somewhere crazy. I had this old rhyme I used to say, I'm the T, they go T-Bear. The girls used to like me more when I had long hair.
Uh-oh.
And I was like, maybe that's not appropriate for now. Anyway.
Nice.
I am the most fabulous T-Bear 183, the cruise DJ, I guess you call it. You know, what all are we doing here? We just doing basic intros?
Yeah, basics.
Yeah.
Pretty good, yeah.
Well, yeah, you know, we could leave it there. Hip hop since 1978. You know,
there you
dabbled
go.
in everything almost. And that's it.
All right.
Love it. Sheet, you want to give a rundown next?
Nah.
This is President Obama's DJ, y'all.
Hilarious. I'm not
Yeah.
President Obama's DJ. Yeah, Rashid Owens, go by One to Dial, part of GRYSKLL, music dude, don't take too much too serious, or I take it way too serious. I don't have no middle ground. You know, but yeah, just happy to be here. Hope I can help the ball club.
That's beautiful. And then mid schools our mystery guest. I don't know if he's usually on the bus around this time, so he may not. I don't know if he's in a position where he can speak. If you're not in a position to speak yet.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Hello, how are you?
What's up, dude?
It's cool.
Man.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir. You sound great.
Okay, yeah. This school, hip hopper for like, I don't know, a while. I'm not gonna put any years down on it. Yeah, my interest is just hip hop and academia. right now I teach sociology and college writing, undergrad. My interest is like hip hop and education. This is my goal to do this on a doctoral level. Part of the idea is to look at different ways that hip hop can be understood in other spaces besides music. So sometimes people look at hip hop architecture. You have hip hop in health. I'm looking at hip hop in the comic book form as a way to, tackle stereotype, threat, bias, and change narratives in the media. And I like very much what both of you are doing. I saw some of the work and some of the things that you're into. So amazing. Of course, not of course, but I'm also very much into like spatial justice, right? Looking at how people can be in spaces, feel comfortable, articulate their sense of self, and still be able to navigate and be sustainable in their practices. We talked also a little bit about hip hop. Dragon and I, Shy and I earlier about hip hop sustainability. This is something I also am very much into. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. And then I'm Shy. Fellas call me Dragon sometimes they call me Pitchfork. I go by a few different names. And like Q, I go by a few names I don't appreciate, I'm sure, too, based on my actions. But I kind of got into this kind of GRYSKLL thing kind of came out as a result of me going through a battle with depression and anxiety, and my art making beats kind of being that anchor that helped me get through. So I've kind of, ever since that, I've been really trying to push and find a way to help evangelize the value of creating for wellness. So this is kind of one of the results of that effort. Here, this whole crew, everybody's come together and just really helped me realize a dream that I didn't even realize I had all these years. So that's us. I don't know who wants to go first. Ayana, Malcolm, one of you guys want to take the mic?
Ladies first.
You can't use that all the time. You can't use that all the
ladies
time.
First, obviously. I'm a gentleman. Ladies first, always.
That's a good one.
So my name is Ayana. I'm not as hip hop as you guys, but I do love watching the love.
Teddy Riley early.
Classic. Thank you.
And so I'm the founder of Wilson Oasis, a nonprofit mental health organization. We kind of focus on raising mental health awareness, and we have a scholarship program that for Black men to receive 10 counseling sessions with a culturally identifiable therapist. And so we do a lot of programs just trying to raise mental health awareness in Black communities, especially since it's has such a negative stigma. We kind of trying to change the environment of when we talk about mental health. So some of the programs we've done is like Conversations on the Lake, just trying to promote healthy self-care activities for everyone. And we have like Top Golf Mondays, where we just trying to, promote a way to relieve stress and kind of give mental health resources with us. So we're just trying to spread the word about mental health and just try to offer resources that's available for Black men. So that's me.
Beautiful, beautiful. Mr. Rose.
I am Malcolm Rose, father, financial advisor, blogger, poet, board member at Wilson Oasis, and I guess my latest title that I'm gonna add is mental wellness and health advocate.
Hey.
Yeah, that's something that I just stumbled upon, and I guess I'm just gonna ride that road.
Big congratulations on that one. You've been doing it well too. I saw your interview last week on YouTube. I forget which channel that was, but yeah, you really held the mic down well last week, man. Really impressed.
Yeah, I was nervous as hell, so.
Yeah, didn't show. And Ayana, Malcolm, in our last conversation, and Malcolm told me about things like Conversations on the Lake and the Top Golf outings. So I was really impressed with hearing about some of those. Now, I guess the one thing I forgot to say early on, and I'm sure I didn't already set the stage and made it feel kind of stiff already. These are really supposed to just be hangout sessions from our end. We're just here to kind of hang out and just shoot the breeze. Usually it's hip hop centered, hip hop based, but because wellness is part of the mission, we wanted to have somebody from the wellness community jump on once a month, but we still wanted to be kind of loose and free, but we want to give you guys a chance to push your message. So really, you guys can drive, take the wheel and drive as much as you want. And if you're done driving, if you feel like you're sick of driving, we can just go into our usual Seinfeld routine. You guys have any ideas or any agendas for tonight? Anything you guys would like to cover or talk about?
I mean, I think one of the things I wanted to talk about was the difference between mental health and mental illness. And I think those two phrases kind of get misconstrued. And that's one of the things that, you know, we started trying to do, is just trying to be an advocate of understanding like what mental health is and how that prevents or can prevent people from suffering from mental illnesses. And so that's kind of one of the things I want to talk about. I mean, that was kind of one of the focus, honestly. And just, I mean, I guess I had a question too. I mean, since, you know, it's awesome Black men on here, you know, in terms of programmings and what would work for communities and Black men, and to accept the offer of help, especially from a Black woman. So, and that's why I'm glad Malcolm is a part of the team, because I think it's important to have a male advocate about mental health. And so just to break those barriers of a woman trying to force a Black man to do something. And I don't ever want to come off like that, but I also do want to be able to provide the resource and let people know that it's available. But there seems to be a disconnect somewhere in some kind of way. And I think it would be good to hear from you guys, like what you think maybe will work in the future in terms of getting the information out there and getting men to accept counseling. It's free. I mean, the therapists, you know, I try to get therapists that, you know, that people can identify with and feel more comfortable with. So yeah, those are the two things that I think would be great.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, I like that.
Very nice.
Well, anybody have any thoughts on her big question?
Sounds well, it looks like med school has something, but go ahead, T.
Yeah, I mean, you starting it now. If you saying what's a good idea to get out there, one of the things would be to come where other people are. And this is another space where other people are. I mean, we here, and we ain't think wasn't nobody listening to us, but you know, we got people chiming in. They actually checking for us. So now you here, they come to check us out, and they hearing about your program. So this is just yet another way. So you gotta come to where people are. This one idea, at least.
Yeah. How did you guys recruit for Conversations on the Lake and the Top Golf outing? How did you guys get the gentlemen that went on those? Those sound like attractive ideas for within themselves. I'd probably be somebody who would jump at those opportunities.
Well, I think with the Conversation on the Lake, there's still some stigma around access to a boat, being on the water, hesitations. The other thing I think is kind of weird. I think a lot of people don't accept free or reduced things. I guess I think that has a stigma. Like, you know, when you're in school, you had a free or reduced lunch, you had this kind of stigma. And so when I offer it at a low reduced rate, I really don't get the turnout that I think the program deserves, honestly. And with those, we do try to cater to different groups of people. So like in May, we'll do one for Black women. In June, we'll do one for men. In July, we'll do one for LGBTQ. We've done one for couples. So we try to reach groups in different forms. We're just trying to figure out ways that this will work, because everybody thinks it's a good idea. But I think, again, getting people to the spot.
So I will say, just speaking from experience myself, like I think some of it is probably not even with the stigma of cost or whatever. Like, I mean, some people like me, I was actually proud that I could get lunch for free because it made my mother wasn't spending her money, you know. But for me, there's always been a lot of pushback, like there's nothing wrong with it, you know. And so like when Shah reached out to me, it took me a minute to even get back to him, because I knew he was coming at me from a specific angle, and I was like, am I ready to actually even talk about that at all? You know, but since I've been talking about it, it's been helping me a lot. Like even my wife was like, you seem to like really been like opened up a little bit as far as how you're able to have conversations with me and the kids, and you know, so I think it's more, not more, but there's definitely cases where people like myself, like we feel like I'm good, like you know, I'll figure it out, I'll work it out. I've done this my whole life, you know, so I don't need anybody else telling me how to you know, deal with my issues or whatever it might be. So I think that's, you know, how do you thinking about ways to push through that pushback that you get from Black men especially.
You made a great point, Quentin, but I think that we have to get to the point where it's not about something being wrong with us because it's normal. Like these things are normal per se, you know, just we're all Black men on here. Just the idea of being a Black man going out into the world every day can be stressful. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
And I think that when it comes to distinguishing, it's not even about receiving help per se. It's more about letting individuals know you are not alone in this fight. You know, this is not something that you are in a vacuum with. It's nothing wrong with you, but when you have these outlets, you are able to process and cope with some of the things that you have going on in your life, just as other men have going on with their life. Like I said, you know, it doesn't have to be a particular traumatic incident that has made someone feel a certain way. It's waking up in the morning, getting to work, taking care of the kids, you know, making sure the wife's happy. All of that is in itself can be stressful, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, it's that you have that opportunity to feel whatever you feel behind all of that.
Good point. Yeah.
That's beautifully put.
A very good point. And I think it's more so for us, the GRYSKLL, it being a mental health thing, it gives us a topic to always refer back to besides hip hop. And I think that's what makes our space a little more than just, you know, a hangout, even though we're saying it is a hangout. And the stigma, I think, the Black people, our people, my people, I think like sometimes the system leads you there. I know personally for me, it was, I drove past this place that did community service today and shit. Like, I thought that was funny and stuff like that. But I remember the last time they like, instead of community service, you don't have to either you got to go to the county, right? No one wants to go to the county jail. So then my grandfather, he like talked to the cop, and I remember that cop, his name like Lipinski, and he was very patient. Like he was patient for a reason. And you know what I'm saying? It was odd, but he ends up talking to my granddad, and long story short, they put me in a mental place. And that's where I met a lot more brothers that were either going there to avoid jail, but you're also in there with people who are really, really mentally unstable. And I kind of think that's why I want to find out what do you mean between the mental illness and the mental health of it, because I came out of that healthy, you know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of people are still ill. I ended up being like a counselor and excelling and all that other stuff. So can you build on that a little more?
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
Very
So I try to use it like as a comparison to working out. You work out to keep your body healthy. So mental health is taking those steps to keep your mind healthy. So when you are doing yoga, your mind is focused somewhere else. If you're taking time for yourself, where you're not trying to, like Malcolm said, you're not trying to go to work, deal with your wife, or deal with the kids, or deal with this, or deal with your friends. You're taking in a lot of things. Your mind is taking in a lot. Any trauma or anything like that, those things come back. I mean, you can. The whole part of it is doing self-care activities, talking to a therapist. That you're talking to a therapist to kind of help you, what your thoughts are, how to kind of compartmentalize your thoughts. And part of it is when your brain can no longer take it anymore and it shuts down. You don't go to work like you're supposed to go to work. You don't talk to your family members. You may start drinking or sleeping a lot. It's when it's excessive, it's chronic. It's when it's all that happens. That's a normal part of life. it's the self-care part that we have to work on, and it's the mental illness part that we want to try to avoid as much as possible. So that's what the difference is.
Okay, very strong, very strong. I like that.
And I guess I'm gonna tell you too a little bit my background of why I became with Wilson Oasis, or why I met a really good guy.
Hold on, I'm gonna need you to move, because the Teddy Riley is getting, you saying some good stuff, but the Teddy Riley,
it's chopping.
I know, I saw the thing come up too. I don't know. Okay, wait, I'm gonna go in my room. I'm gonna go in my room. It's me.
Okay.
Right, thank you.
Really getting it. There were just a few words missing here and there. I think we can get it. We got it all through context clues. But before you went farther, thank you, Malcolm. Yeah, before you go farther, we definitely want to hear all this.
Can I hear me better now?
Definitely sound great so far. How your bars looking on your phone?
We lost her for a second.
I don't know about this stuff. I don't know no bars. I got a joke.
I see it as red over here, so that means danger. So I don't know if you need to. See, I mean, you froze on my screen. So this is just like, this is Teddy Riley in the verses, man. Exact same thing. Everybody wanted to hear what he was gonna play, and he couldn't get it out. So
that's all.
And I mean, I'm not licensed in any way, but I think to Ayana's point, the wellness and the health, as she said, you can use the analogy of the physical, right? We try to take care of the physical before we get the illness, right? Before we have a diabetes or a cancer or something of that nature. And that same parallel can be made, to the mental, to the brain, because our bodies, we have certain chemicals inside of us, certain levels of, serotonin and dopamine and things of that nature, right? So when those chemicals are imbalanced, that causes an illness, right? And if we are not doing the things mental health wise to balance those chemicals, we can end up with the illness. That illness may be, paranoia or schizophrenia or bipolar disorder, because we have not taken steps to prevent that illness. And I mean, I know it's all of us probably can say the same thing. We hold a lot, what I'm saying, on our, we take in quite a bit, and we do it because we've normalized it for so long. It has become normal to just take stuff on. We haven't been conditioned for self-care. We haven't been conditioned for mental wellness. We haven't been, when we think about therapy, we think, as Quentin said, something is wrong. Therapy isn't necessarily about something being wrong with you. It's just having a conversation. That therapist isn't trying to fix you. The therapist is simply giving you some mechanisms or allowing you to work through those things that you have going on. You might not be able to have those discussions with your boys or with your wife or with any, that third party that has no vested interest. You might be able to open up to that person in a way that you can't open up to someone else. And they have the questions to ask you that might get you to open up, that we don't have that information. We don't have that knowledge to ask a certain question. I remember a therapist friend of mine was talking about, he said, Malcolm, what do you ask someone, what do you say to someone who's thinking about taking their own life? And I can't remember what my response was, but his response to me was, that's wrong. That's not what you would say to that person. And in my head, I was saying something, that was the correct thing to say, right? But from a therapeutic standpoint, there is a way to address certain things. There is a way to gently nudge you down a path or gently nudge you to these self-revelations, because therapy is cool, it is needed, but it's also what's done outside of that room. That's where the magic happens, when you're outside of that office. And some of the things, that we try to do is to take therapy outside of, that whole I'm sitting on the couch, I'm laying on a couch talking, someone asks me a ton of questions about my childhood kind of thing, right? Like that's kind of this vision of what therapy looks like. But this in itself is therapy, right? Having a safe space to be vulnerable and to speak in a way where there is no judgment. That is therapy. We don't look at it that way, but that is essentially what it is. Now, once again, I'm not a licensed professional. I might not know the right questions to ask you gentlemen to say to get you to, start walking down this path, but having a safe space with no judgment, especially for a Black man, is therapeutic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, you really
Say
dropped
it again, Malcolm. Yeah.
You definitely,
Right.
I see you definitely settled into this mental health advocate role, brother. You broke that down. You killed that, man.
It's
That
lived experience, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been doing a lot of, as the therapist calls it, inner work, right? And that inner work is changing me, changing my perspective, changing my views, changing. I'm unlearning. I like the term unlearn and relearn. I was conditioned to be a certain way. I was conditioned to be closed off, to not talk about my emotions, to not, to not cry, to not do all of these things because that wasn't masculine.
Right.
So, someone else told me what masculinity was. Society told me what masculinity was. I didn't have that opportunity to define it for myself. So, Sha, you and I had that conversation, that who am I conversation, right? That's a tough question, and I think that's a question that we all need to ask ourselves. Like, who am I? Not who we think we are, not who society has told us who we are, not the box that we've been put in our whole lives, but who are we? And I think life is about that journey. And it's just my personal opinion that, that self-care and that's gonna look different for everybody. I meditate, I run, I write. That's my self-care. For someone else, it could be making beats. It can be getting on stage and rhyming. It can be, lifting weights. You know what I mean? But
Don't talk about me too bad.
Oh, okay. All right, Teddy.
So Malcolm, you were talking about like the things that we go through and the how it affects the brain and so forth and how we react to it. One of the questions I always have, like when I talk to my students about writing or whatever, I very often talk about like purpose and the reasons why things happen. What role do you think the causes for our illnesses play in all this and helping us to adapt to it? Because I got a thorn in my hand. I got to put that medicine on it. I got to fix it. I got to make it better. But the things that are causing it are still there. Then that's something else I got to deal with. So right now, I'm on the news. Every time I turn on the news, I feel stress. I walk down the block, I feel stress. I see this person who's getting shot and there's no justice there, I feel stress. I feel stress in so many different ways. I'm saying me figuratively and literally. So what do you think about like how we context the causes of our illness? And number two, what do you think about how people define illness? Because I know a lot of people who've been called paranoid. When people say, for example, yo, the poet's after me, they're looking at me, they're da-da-da. I said, no, you're paranoid. On the other hand, somebody's like, no, you're not paranoid. I'm like, dude, that's really happening. Some of the illnesses that we've been assigned have not really been illnesses per se, but just our natural reaction. Because it's very difficult to be comfortable in an uncomfortable place.
Yeah, great questions, Ms. School. I watched that podcast that y'all did, and I knew it was gonna be deep if you was on here. So I don't know if I'm prepared for the answer, but one of the 8 dimensions of wellness is environment, right? And I'm an advocate for I'm big on the word responsibility, right? So I feel like in this fight, we have to take responsibility for our actions, our emotions, and things of that nature. And so how that kind of plays into the question that you asked, we might not be able to physically change our environment at that moment, right? But our mind is a powerful thing. In our mind, we can change our environment. And it can be something simple as taking a deep breath to stop whatever thoughts you were having 3 seconds ago and to begin a new thought, maybe in a more positive manner going forward. So it is, you know, I'll tell a little story. So my mom was addicted to crack, right? So the thing about, oh no, don't be, no, I mean, that's just, you know, hey, it you know, it was the 80s in Cleveland. But what I found out later was the crack use was to try to deal with bipolar disorder, right? Undiagnosed bipolar disorder. You know, wasn't going to the doctor, wasn't going to the therapist and things of that nature, tried to find a way to escape through drug use. But I say that to say, it's like if my mom went to rehab, right? And while she's in rehab, she might be all good. When she comes back into that same environment, it is very hard to heal in that same environment, right? To your point. But once again, we can't physically change our environment at the snap of a finger. And that's why I am a huge advocate for meditation, because it is designed to go inside of yourself and find that peace inside of yourself, right? It is something that I think it's just been miscommunicated. It has been misunderstood, especially in our communities for very long. Like when a child is acting out, you might tell that child to, you know, to go and breathe, take a deep breath, right? That's literally, the child is meditating. They're trying to calm down with that breath. So to the first question in regards to not being able to change that environment, yes, that is definitely an obstacle, but I don't think it's the end all be all. I think that if we take responsibility and begin to understand ourselves, understand our bodies, understand our emotions, and once again, I will raise the meditation flag all day long. That thorn, that pain that you feel when you start to, same thing when you're working out. If you ever had a personal trainer or ever heard somebody, you know, training and you think you can't do that last rep, they tell you to breathe through it. Breathe. It's kind of the same thing, but it has to be intentional. We breathe every day unintentionally, but that breath has to be intentional. You literally have to take yourself in a mental space out of where you are physically. And I think that working that muscle, right? Working that muscle is what helps us move on from that environment that we currently are in, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense to me. It's a perfect example, because with meditation, you're able to get a better understanding of what's going on, better perspective of a situation. You can pull yourself out of a situation and remove yourself from a situation often, and not be reacting out of emotion. This is stuff I'm learning more as I'm just starting to touch on the fringes of yoga and meditation myself. I'm nowhere near at a point where I can even sit for 5 minutes and meditate still. I'm still struggling to get a 10 count in, but through that practice, I'm learning that now when I'm in the middle of a situation, I'm even talking to Yanni often about it now, where I'm seeing how, you know, normally I would respond like this in this situation, but now I'm seeing the situation happen. And I feel like it's kind of an out of body experience, because I'm seeing what's going on and I'm seeing my reaction, seeing how I would normally react. And I'm having the option to choose differently now. So it's definitely something that, like you said, it's an exercise. If you practice it when you don't need it in times of stress, then in times of stress, you'll see that muscle will kick in without you realizing it's kicked in.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Can I piggyback off the thorn on the side too? Because oftentimes can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we got.
I don't see red at the bottom. You might be good.
If you start sounding like New Jack Swing.
So one of the things about thorns in the side too, as well, is that, I think sometimes in communities, like, there might be a thorn in the side and they might just be putting peroxide on it or a Band-Aid on it, but you're not really actually addressing the thorn. You're not removing the thorn. And so I think, I've seen football players, they'll break their finger and then they just pop it back in place and told us to go back and not really address the broken finger. And so I think that's the same thing of we get used to just saying, I'm okay, I can do it and I can handle it. And I think sometimes that's where we talk about purpose. It's that purpose of, why do you just want to handle it? Like, why do you just want to deal with it? When they had the shooting on Betty's Ford, I think it was 2 years ago, I think everybody who saw those bodies on the street, that's trauma. We're not supposed to just see death like that and think it's okay. And so those are the things and we have to address. That's the thorn. We have to address that. That is not normal. We need to remove those. I believe in the visual that we see on social media and television. I think those are the thorns. Those are the things or problems that are causing communities problems. And so I like that you use that. And I think that's how I see it too, that I'm trying to remove the thorn. Like, let me help you take that out and let me show you how you can get help, but we have to accept it. If you just adjusted to the pain, then you don't even know that there's pain because you're adjusted to it. You know it's there. But
Ms. Ayana, I got two questions. One, from based on what you just said. Two questions. One of them is like controversial, and maybe I shouldn't say, and the other one is less controversial.
This is the space for saying whatever you want, man.
I know. You might as well go ahead.
We'll cut it and chop it out, man.
Which one should I go with, Ms. Ayana?
I say go with the controversial. That's what we're here for, right?
He was gonna pick that.
Yeah.
I'm just here
right.
to create safe spaces, so that hip hop and our people can prosper. But controversy is part of that. You mentioned about like the thorn and these things that people break their bones. Football players, they pop it back in. We sometimes don't address the causes. I was reading the other day how a lot of people are talking about the violence in hip hop, the memes in hip hop, talking about people walking up on stage and slapping somebody because they said something about their wife, and then how those actions are copied in our community. Do you think that there's any role that hip hop can play in creating more positive spaces? Do you think that hip hop might play a role in keeping thorns in our hands?
Ooh.
Absolutely.
You got to go ahead. I got something for this one. Go ahead.
Absolutely, because I've stopped listening to music actually, because when I listen to non-hip hop music, a lot of the songs about love, happiness, it may not be the beat that I want, but the words that's going into my brain just feels better than hearing Black men talk about, selling drugs, all the bitches that he's, been with and done. And then people think that that's okay. That's how you treat women. I think, we talk about, I remember listening to A-Ball where he did a whole thing about how he did a strong arm robbery and got away with it. I honestly just think I could do it. I could pull this off. Like he told me all the words to do it. And I think that still goes on today. So when people are saying they're doing this and that, they don't see the fiction behind it. Because I don't think many of those rappers are living a life that they talk about, they may have before, but it's being glorified. I don't really understand how, and this might be a little bit of you might have gone this way, but we don't want white people to say the word nigga, but we're the only ones that call each other nigga. And then we saying it in songs, and it's kind of weird to sing a song and just stop in one part. There's no song that we sing that we just have to stop. I will never get that. I've been living in DR for the last couple of months, and there's a different sense of community. It's one that I dream of because there's very supportive. The music is usually talking about love and just wanting to be, with someone. And I think that's just makes the world a little bit happier if you hear those words or you see those visuals more, as opposed to the videos that you see now. I definitely think it has a huge responsibility to not accept that. I think rap can be written without the word nigga. I think it can be, I don't know, there's a time and place for certain songs. I mean, I get the beat because I love the beat too, but just the words that you hear is just, it's just so negative. I don't even want my son to, because I don't want him to think that's how you treat women. That's how you live life. Like, it's just, I think there's a huge responsibility that we're failing a lot of people.
Yeah. Can I piggyback off of her sentiment? I've been listening to hip hop for a very, very long time. And, one thing that was different in the beginning, I'm going to say in the beginning, in previous years was balance, right? You might hear fuck the police, but you also heard, 911 is a joke, or you heard,
Dear mama.
Dear mom, there was a balance, right? So right now, I'm of the opinion that mainstream hip hop is now COINTELPRO, right? It is being weaponized, against our people, right? We're hip hop is, there's no East Coast country, there's no West Coast rock. You know what I'm saying? Like, hip hop is the only genre where we literally, it's based off division almost. Based off division, it's, you get to hear how much, money another person has, and how they gonna take your wife if she go to the club by herself, and all of these other things, right? So in terms of that thorn, right? We've as a people, we've normalized pain and trauma. As Ayana said, we've normalized that, right? So now it's normal to see someone get shot. And it's also normal to hear it on a record. It's normal to hear, a woman disrespected. It's normal to hear about, someone shooting someone. And we don't think of how it affects us subconsciously, right? And we can all say, I'm great with the art of the art of the lyrical wizardry, right? You painting a picture, talking about selling drugs in a way that you don't have to use those particular terms. Like I will admit, I'm a fan of that, type of rhyming, right? But I would be remiss to not also say that if it's part of your diet every day and you're just taking in that information and you're taking in, someone calling someone the N-word or disrespecting women, it is very difficult for your brain to not think that that's cool and that's normal, especially as a younger person. So changing our diet of what we intake, that's, listening to Butterscotch Lennon, so, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it is that diet definitely affects us, and we don't necessarily realize it because, once again, we've normalized it, and then we try to justify it, right? And so now it becomes this double-edged sword. The word is empowered. We can do this, we can do that because it's us. Okay, cool, but you don't also see how that's affecting you because you're speaking these words over and over again, right? So at some point, it's changing you on the inside, but it's also changing the millions of people who are listening to it every day.
Yeah.
I think about like the tobacco companies, even though they sell the cigarettes, they have there's a certain part of them they have to do, like put a certain amount of their money into like programs or, rehabs and stuff like that. I think maybe if hip hop or music period did something similar, maybe like you're talking about this is what you do, but then every artist should be responsible to go to a school and then really give them the real side of it as well. I mean, I think they should do that because I think that's what we're doing. We're just brainwashing to people to think that life is a certain way and it's not. And like Malcolm said, normalizing certain things that shouldn't be normal.
Pretty heavy, man.
It's funny. I was at dinner with my wife last night, and I was having a conversation. She was asking me like what it feels like to be back into writing and you know, recording and stuff again. And I was explaining like it's interesting because I realized when I was younger that I was actually a little more thoughtful about how I constructed my songs or whatever. Like I had rules, very, very strict rules about how I would write. You know, like I would never allow myself to say the N-word unless it fit a specific topic within the song. It had to be a reason for it. I never referred to women as bitches. I don't do that in real life anyway. But it was one of those things like at 15, 16, like it was one of those things that was on top of my mind. Like, I don't refer to women as bitches. I don't use the N-word unless there's a reason for it in the song specifically. Don't talk about guns. And I came up in a violent environment. So for me, it was more escapism. So I wanted to make sure that I was, you know, giving people something other than what I thought of as my reality outside. It was a window into something different. So I was a little more thoughtful about it. And I was like, it just made me think like, damn, I actually had a lot of, I don't know what it was, you know, that pushed me in that direction, but it was pretty enlightening to even think about it because I hadn't really thought about it in 20 plus years. But I think it's important that people are a little more conscious of what's coming out of their mouths and what they're listening to. But, you know, I love MOP, so you know what I'm saying? Like, I also can compartmentalize, but I'm also, you know, 45 now, so I have a little bit of experience in being able to do that.
I love MOP too. I love MOP too. So it, you know,
actually it was between them and Tribe is my favorite group. That's just the funny thing. They're both completely opposites in the hip hop scale, probably too. So that's even funnier. But honestly, like on my journey the past couple of years, I've actually had to not listen to a lot of that. Like I don't get to crank and turn on a lot of it. And honestly, a lot of it doesn't speak to me as much anymore either. But I've been intentionally not playing it at times when I would normally play it. Like I used to play MOP quickly if I got upset. Like, okay, this will help me burn some of this off. Haven't been doing that lately. I don't know if that makes a difference or not, but I'm just stating the fact that I'm
90% jazz at this point.
Huh?
I listen to jazz all day.
And you know something else before I forget this, because we got to make sure this doesn't become a hip hop bashing session, because the music that we hear doing this, 9 times out of 10, that music isn't actually hip hop music. Hip hop is actually the culture. The music is one of the elements of the culture, and some of these people that are doing music that uses hip hop elements are not doing hip hop music. Actually, the bulk of them that you hear on the radios and the ones that you hear coming through your children's TikToks, no, that's not hip hop. That's some descendant of hip hop, but still, I understand as the media teaches us, this is hip hop to everybody else, so we have to refer to it as hip hop. But since everybody's hearing it here, I want to make sure we got a place to make sure that's said and clarified, so nobody thinks we're perpetuating that image of hip hop.
Word.
I want to just say, like, I hear what you're saying, and despite what I said, I can't stand No, I should rewind that. The music that fits my soul is the music that echoes the angst that I have in my heart sometimes. So I do talk about, you know, we have to have these positive things or sustainable processes in hip hop, but like I can't do it without my MOP, man. I can't do it without, you know, my Sean Price. You know what I'm saying? I can't. That calm stuff don't do it for me. I make me more anxious.
Right.
But I think there's got to be the lanes for all of that, right? And I think that's when what the people that are being targeted with those messages have access to, or what they're being steered to, doesn't contain any of, I would say, contains very little redeeming value, right? And that's also by design, right? So I think we talked about it a couple weeks ago, and I said, you know, like they don't even have to do any work anymore. I'm gonna pay these 3 young cats and let them just go destroy like the entire block. and that's what's happened, right? So, and you know, the balance is a point that I always make, Malcolm, because, you know, to your point, for, you know, every great member of the symphony, we also had somebody like Kid and Play that was an offset for that. You know, we had Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You know, we had the Skinny Boys, we had the Fat Boys, we had the Beastie Boys. Like, it was a whole different set of options that clearly I'm failing as a parent tonight, but
Came and breaking the wild. What's up?
Yeah, since he's been in school, everybody said, hey,
yeah.
You know, and I think
been a long time.
Yeah, and I think the other part of that is, you know, those same people are also getting the same bad information that we got. I think you touched on it again earlier, Malcolm. You know, internalize that. You can't cry. Somebody will see you and think you're weak. All of a sudden, you become a victim, right? And you know, I think my, you know, turn this down a little bit, buddy. Or you gotta go in the other room, okay? 1 second, okay?
I cannot hear it.
Okay, 1 second. Turn it up a little bit. There you go. But you know, one of the things that my parents tried to start was changing that narrative, right? And they did to an extent, but as I got older, I realized that there was more to it than that. And, you know, with him, I'm trying to take a much different approach than I took even with my older two. You know, but I need him to, I was telling Q when we hopped on the night, you know, something happened at his school, he got scratched in the eye. My first thought, I'm about to turn this joke upside down. And then, like, I thought about it for a second, I'm like, you know, that's not really going to get you anywhere, you know, but going here and have a discussion, figure out what happened, and, you know, but what he saw was initially me acting out of anger. And that made him not want to tell me what happened, which made me get madder, right? And then
that made me get quiet, and that made me cry.
You gotta tell the whole story, man. I'm trying to save a little face here, buddy. But you know, we, you know, and then when we got back to the car, I had to realize that it's my job to de-escalate this. He needs to understand that he's safe. You know what I'm saying? And a part of me is like, why did I even have that first 10 minutes with that reaction? This is where I should have started at.
No, this is where I need to start at. Okay. Right over there.
That's where I should have started. But you know, again, for as much as I've tried to be more thoughtful and understanding, that's still in me. You know, it's still in all of us. And you know, to your point, learning how to deal with that. And I'm proud of how I ended up ultimately. But you know, it's like, you know, I still have work to do. So.
Why is he walk? I want to see you do some more.
That idea of, you know, of balance and you know, that we kind of are talking about in terms of hip hop, it's the same thing that that same mantra can be taken into the mental health space, because that's all the mental illness really is an imbalance. So the same way that we can sit here and say, and we can talk about how, you know, mainstream hip hop is imbalanced, and that is what mental illness becomes. It's an imbalance within you. So, you know, the same way we need Kid and Play, you know, right? Because we might feel like dancing, right? But we also need MOP because we're gonna get angry, right? We're gonna get angry. We need LL because we need love. You know what I'm saying? Like all of that. And that encompasses us as a whole. And so mental health is the same way. You know, you need to be, you know, physically fit, emotionally fit, occupationally fit, socially fit, spiritually fit, intellectually fit, environmentally fit, and financially fit. You know what I mean? Like all of those things have to work in concert. And that is when mental wellness is working, you know, in all systems are go in that area. So that same balance that we're talking about in the music, that we can take that and apply that to our lives. Like, we also need balance in our lives. Whatever that looks like, maybe balance isn't the right word. I struggle with that word because it's more like harmony. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you have to, everything works in concert, works harmoniously to whatever fits, you know, your particular lifestyle. And that could be different month to month. You know, one month you might be focusing on the physical because you're going to the beach in 2 months. And in 1 month, you might put a little bit more on the financial side because you got something going on. In another month, you know, something happens and you're emotionally, you know, dealing with things. So that same idea can be applied or can be applicable to our mental health and wellness.
I wanted to add too, because you mentioned that the anger, like you didn't know where it came from. And I think that's the part of why mental health is important, or why talking
I know where it came from. I know. Hopefully I didn't get that picked. I knew where it came from. I'm simply saying I wish I hadn't gone there. But no, I know where it came from. But, you know, to your point, I do understand what you're saying.
Right. It's that process of like why we respond the way that we respond. So that's what I was more talking about. Like, I know you know the anger came from, but the response, like, why do we got to get so upset and be so reactive? And I think that's from just trauma just passed down, because we just taught to just kind of respond and take care of and just fix and just adjust to whatever. But I think that's part of the process. That's part of the thorn. That's part of going to counseling or life coach or whatever it is that you need, and to trying to figure that out, even with the meditation or deep breath. In that moment, there's some type of clarity. Even if it's a brief moment, there's a moment of clarity where your brain is not responding or being reactive. So that's all.
Yeah, I had that moment of clarity. I saw clearly that school. No, I'm joking. I'm playing.
Yo, that's actually, I'm glad you said life coach or counseling is an option. I never looked at both of those as options that are actually advertised to people. Do you mind speaking on the differences between the two and why somebody might go to one versus the other?
So a therapist goes through schooling and usually has a master's in whatever that programming is. Like, I was in school for marriage and family therapy. So whatever that field is, they've gone through schooling for that. A life coach is more of like, there's some training there, but they're more like a guide, right? Because with a therapist, there's going to be, you know, potential diagnosis. There's a plan for therapy. With a life coach is kind of helping you achieve the goals that you bring to them. So if you want to be a better father, then they would just work with you on the steps that you can take to be a better father. Does that make sense?
Yep, definitely.
And so it would just depend, I think, and we do have life coaches available too, because sometimes that word therapist or counselor scares people away, and life coach just feels more comforting. It's not a huge difference, but there is a difference. And so that's why we use it, because we don't want to deter anybody. You want to offer as much space as possible.
Okay, that sounds perfect. That sounds like a perfect answer. You know, one thing I want to say before I forget too is on that MOP front, I want to make sure that I'm not bashing MOP. I don't need MOP coming. Right. I'm not even that part, but I still love the group, but it's just that I've had to choose not to listen to them, because I know anger is one of the things I have to focus on dealing with specifically, is how to manage and deal with my anger. So I know I'm just getting rid of all my old ways of dealing with anger, trying to find new ways. But MOP is still going to be in my catalog. They're still going to be getting bumped as soon as I'm ready.
Was it a trigger for you, do you think, as opposed to a coping mechanism? Do you think it was more of a trigger?
Not a trigger, but I think it kind of helped my mindset kind of stay. You know, I kept the same tools in the box because I kept hearing the same word. And, you know, I would just constantly think, you know how certain things come up in life and you just think of a certain saying that comes to mind. Like, I know when I used to get upset and I used to get frustrated with something, I just say, yo, I just don't want to do that anymore. The Biggie line, F that, why try throw bleach in your eye? That line would always come to mind. So just trying to get away from those little pieces of program, and you know, trying to get out of that F that mentality, trying to get away from that, you know, respond with anger, or let your anger be your response instead of let me process my anger and then figure out what a more appropriate response is. So I just had to take away all those things that kind of reinforce my old ways of thinking and the ways that I didn't even know I was thinking too. Because I'm still discovering like where my anger came from to this day.
I see Mid School had posted a couple of things in the chat, but the last one he talked about, the thorn still being there, right? Because in the world that we live in, but to that point, that's why mental wellness is that much more important, because we can't necessarily escape the thorn, right? If it's not one thing, it will be another. Life will happen, whether that's going to be a situation that has systemically been created for us or a situation that we put ourselves in. Life is going to happen. And on that front, taking care of your mental wellness becomes all the more important. Understanding that the society that we live in, understanding that the things that we may or may not face on a daily basis makes the mental wellness piece much more important.
Yeah.
And I saw another comment that Miss School just wrote that I think he said anger is healthy.
Definitely.
And I kind of disagree. I'm not saying that it's unhealthy. To me, especially when you say that in Black communities or communities that where anger is the first response for a lot of Black people, it's almost like saying to an alcoholic that drinking a glass of red wine is healthy. Yeah, it is in moderation, but you can't tell that to an alcoholic. So when you say anger is healthy, why are you angry though? It shouldn't be like that. I don't know the word that I'm trying to use, but we have to look at why are we angry, and we're angry for a lot of reasons that just kind of instilled in us, not because of whatever. It's a lot of things that come from passed on from generation to generation. When we talk about anger, that's a lot of times what get us in trouble is our response. You angry somebody did something to you, or you angry somebody stepped on your shoe, or you angry that something didn't go your way, and then it's that response. So I don't really see the healthiness in it. And so I guess I ask, like, why is there anger? Like, why should anger be healthy?
Well, I think that anger as an emotional response is normal. It is a normal human emotion. It is a normal human emotion. But to react with anger is a different story. It is if I said something out of pocket to any one of you guys right now, or any one of you on this call right now, anger might be that immediate reaction, right? But the response does not have to be anger does not have to lead your response to what it is that I said or did. So, yeah. And to that point also, smash therapy or going to breaks, you know what I'm saying? Like, that is the release of anger in a controlled environment in a positive way. And I think that what happens a lot in our community is the reaction that we have to something isn't reacting to what just happened to us. That just activated the anger that happened 2 weeks ago, or happened a year ago, or happened 5 years ago, or 10 years ago. And whatever happened in that moment just activated that anger. So in that sense, I'm a believer of it being, it's human, right? It's a human response. But
that's different
also,
from healthy though.
That's
different from healthy though. A human response is different from healthy.
But no, I think the unhealthy is reacting. I can be angry right now for 90 seconds, take a deep breath, and no one may even know I was angry. I have to feel like I'm allowed to feel what I feel. Those feelings have to be allowed and if everyone practices this, no one gets offended ever, right? Because I'm allowed to be angry. Now, but I can also take responsibility for my anger. I don't have to blame you for my anger. I don't have to blame anyone else for my anger. I can say something you did made me angry, but I'm responsible for that anger. I'm responsible for how I react. I'm responsible for how I explain or communicate that anger. And that's why I used the word responsibility earlier in terms of self-care. It's very easy to point the finger at someone else or something else and then justify our response. But that inner work allows us to start to take responsibility for our own actions and our own feelings and emotions. But also you have to be in a space where you're allowed to feel that emotion.
I agree. I just still think that's different from healthy though. I do agree that you are allowed to feel what you feel, but I'm just disagreeing with the part of it being healthy. I think, you're supposed to.
I think it's healthy. I think it's healthy because it gives you a chance to release. You know, while you guys were talking, I was one song called Last Supper, and it sounds very angry. It's very MOP-ish. But I think that's one thing, it can't put too much responsibility on the artist, because the artist is actually trying to put that in the capsule. So if I listen to Last Supper, I can hear how angry I was because of that's what made me think about Last Supper. I remember why I wrote it. In that song I say, I'm not dead yet, I'm not in jail. Because like I said, I went through that process. Even if you do go for mental health or mental illness, you come out of any of that, within our community, you're still gonna be labeled as crazy. You dig what I'm saying? You're still gonna have a stigma of you been treated and diagnosed as crazy, all right? So when it comes to hip hop and writing as an artist, like you were saying with the N-word, I mean, that's all an inflection and a repetition of what we represent or what we're still a part of. So a lot of times you hear people saying the N-word, it's because they're still saying the N-word. There's a lot of truth inside of some people that are fabricating things, even with the music that's at the forefront right now. You know what I'm saying? It is geared toward A, B, and C, but then there's also some jewels in there that we can't hear at this point because our kids hear it. You know what I'm saying? We don't hear it that way, the same way our parents hear it. Exactly. It's a tough listen because from our standpoint as the so-called elders, you're still a mix, like you said. I mean, I would say I do like listening to R&B and things of that nature and jazz. It's very beautiful. It really is. But I have to get to work. I have to defend myself. And you know what I'm saying? So I kind of want some hip hop to make me aware of other people's anger. So if I can get to my point, I can see my anger like that made me mad. But so I'm at the forefront of how I treat other people as far as trying to contain anger. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to explain, but it's not as healthy as, something else. You know what I'm saying? But it could be healthy. Not as healthy.
If you know what the body goes through when you become angry, it causes, can potentially cause high blood pressure. So I'm just trying to figure out what part of being angry is healthy. That's all I'm saying. I'm not disagreeing with anything anybody said. I'm just trying to understand where the healthiness of it is. It may be healthy to release, your anger, but it doesn't mean it's healthy to be angry. Does that make sense? And so
it could be like motivation. Like I'm angry that my loved one passed away, so I can think about it. Anger has a huge umbrella of other emotions. You know what I'm saying? I think when you use it in that term, I think the anger of being mad is what you're having, and what I wouldn't agree with as being healthy. You know what I'm saying? But the anger as being the whole umbrella of being angry due to the conditions of slavery or, you know what I'm saying, constitutional rights and all of that other stuff. Yeah, I'm very angry about that. That's a reserved anger, which is why she knows why he's angry. You know what I'm saying? He knows exactly why he's angry, because his son has a scratch. And if that person is a person of non-color, he's thinking like, why is my son touched? You know what I'm saying? There's all these duplicities of anger for a Black person.
Have we normalized angry as healthy because we just begin to normalize that what that is?
Well, I think
so.
Yeah, it as a natural emotion, and just say it's healthy to experience the range of human emotions, but how you respond and react to those emotions, or how you deal with those emotions, I think is where the health and the impact comes in. For some of us, we can get angry but not have the elevated blood pressure levels and things like that, because we've learned to process our language, our anger in a different way. I think, what do they call it, emotional intelligence, when you learn how to deal with and respond to your emotions in a way that is healthy. Because I mean, there's a such thing as being too happy too. I guess if you think about it, so I guess there's such thing as being too angry.
There you go.
And is it also related to lengths of time? In other words, being angry all the time, I would imagine it's got to be draining. In addition to all the other stuff that goes along with it, as opposed to, like the example Malcolm used, where you got this 90-second window where you kind of process that, then you try to move on. So, I don't know the answer. I'm honestly asking the question, but because I do hear where you're coming from, as far as like I know some people. I'm like, yeah, that can't be healthy. Like you're always mad, like always. You know what I mean? Like always.
Cereal. Wake up in the morning angry.
Yeah, like that
was me last year.
What happened? Like what? Always? Like nothing? Mm-hmm. So, and then those that like, and to be honest, like kind of seeing people like that was a wake up for me. Like, yo, am I like that? Or even am I being perceived like that? But yeah, I is it possible to think that everybody's right here?
Well, I was going to say one important thing that I think we're missing in just trying to say, yes, that anger is not necessarily a bad thing. We're not taking into account and affirming what Ayana's saying, which is true. Anger can be very unhealthy. Right. Anger can be extremely unhealthy if it's not checked and managed properly and engaged with properly.
Anger can lead you to divorce.
Yes, you're 100% right, Ayana. Anger can be very healthy, and anger is normally very unhealthy the way that we know it. But I think if we change our relationship with anger and our understanding of it, I don't know if it's necessarily an unhealthy thing. I don't know if I can say it's an unhealthy thing, but I can't say that, I can't say your point is wrong either, because it's a matter of perspective and what factors you're considering when you're making these decisions or making these assertions.
But the interesting thing about the conversation is, once again, we've normalized a lot of things, right? Like that's just what we've done. And maybe we've normalized anger as healthy. You know what I mean?
Is the we, I don't mean to cut you off, Malcolm, is the we our community, or is the we the world at large?
Post-colonial society, as Miss.
I think it's the world at large. I think it's the world at large.
Right, but I think we often assume it's just us, or maybe even more importantly, we're made to be out to be the only people that are angry.
You know what
I'm saying? Right. So, and that was the reason I asked that question. But okay. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that was a great point. And I'm not just talking about the we. It encompasses everyone. Where we've been once again. We've normalized that anger is healthy, right? And it is okay to, someone gave me an example once, like if we're talking and I get angry, and then I want to go and I want to scream, and that's like the healthy thing, right? Because I'm letting out that whatever it is that was inside of me. But in reality, is the healthy thing is to not get to that point. that is like the goal is to not get to the angry point, right? And it is difficult for us to do because once again it's human, right? And there's so many things we can be angry about. We can have a laundry list of things to be angry about, but the goal is to not get there, if that makes sense.
That's why I listen to Annie Up so much.
Can I add, is the goal not,
that was played at my wedding, so I get it.
Is the goal not to get there, or as you mentioned before, is the goal to balance it out? I mention this because one of my favorite quotes is by Tupac. Well, his book, The Rose That Grew from the Concrete. Whenever I think about that, I think about in that terrible, tough times when everybody else has fertile soil and water and nutrients, some of us have concrete. We got to break through concrete. And then when our leaves don't look so perfect, we get penalized for it. People make judgments about us. And we have to adapt to the situations we have. We're the rose that grew through the concrete, still dealing with the thorns. So in some cases, anger is a healthy response. In many cases, it's not. But it's about a healthy balance, as you mentioned. As I think Ayana is also mentioning, like always being angry is not healthy. But we definitely have to understand the places that we come from. We are roses that have blossomed through the concrete, and we carry those scars with us, and we're trying to navigate them still. Nonetheless, we can't be angry in the immediate and then lose the benefits of our long term, so to speak. So I think Ayana's saying, right, we're angry now, okay, but then you go to jail, that's not good. So it's like a balance, I think, what you're saying, Ayana's saying. Malcolm?
Mm-hmm.
I was going to respond to about, you were saying, well, Malcolm was saying about like being upset, right? That 90-second window. I think the healthy part or mental health side of that is learning how to like restructure your brain, right? Because when you're angry for a long time, your brain starts rewire. Every experience that we have, every song that we hear, every visual that we see, those things rewire our brain. So this repetitive of you hearing, when I get mad, I'm gonna throw bleach in the face. At some point, your brain is wired to do that because that's what you've been listening to or thinking the whole time. So your brain, at some point, the right trigger, the right timing, whatever, that will happen. And so what I'm saying is, I am saying that anger is not healthy. I'm saying that I think we've normalized it, and I think we don't even recognize where the anger is coming from. Why are we responding? Why do we have to get angry? Is it just a thought in our head that we are just making and internalizing and then becoming more and more angry? So the more that you're angry, your brain is like, all right, this is what we're gonna do when we get angry. And that's why the part I'm saying why I don't see the healthiness of it. I think when you take some of those mental health techniques of like yoga, deep breathing, meditation, if it's like 2 minutes, it stops that rewiring because now it's distracted. Now it's not even thinking about the anger part of it. So if you get angry or you feel yourself getting angry, you take those deep breaths, you're more focusing on the airflow in your body, you're more focused on other things that's going on. So it has interrupted what that wiring was going to do for you.
Is it possible though, like, so I mentioned, like, I listen to Annie Up a lot. And I will say it's actually kept some people from getting kidnapped. But like, I one of the things that I do sometimes is when I am angry, I will throw on Annie Up, and it keeps me from acting like an ass. I back in the day, I found out my girl had cheated on me. I threw in OC's, go ahead with yourself. Like there are things that were like they help me get through those moments without doing something stupid. I know that doesn't work for everybody, but I think, I think we had a conversation like last week where we talked about like subjectivity when it comes to music, whatever. Like, I think we can look at how people deal with anger in a similar way. I'm just working like Shad, he won't listen to the stuff that's going to trigger those things. Whereas for me, they keep me from going to that place. You know.
So for me, I had to change. That was what I used to use. That was the same coping mechanism. I throw on MOP immediately. Like, yo, I'm angry. Put that on this way. Nobody else has to see it. I get it out of my system. When I'm back in everybody's face, I'm cool again.
Right.
But what I didn't realize was those feelings were still staying inside of me. I still wasn't processing those feelings and getting those feelings out of me. So the next time I got angry, I was pissed about what I was angry about, plus what I hadn't gotten out the last time, because I just used a song to kind of just distract me from my anger, as opposed to dealing with the anger. Right. So it's I'm starting to, like, I'm learning as I go right now that the methods I used before were the methods I used because I didn't know any better, that there were other methods I could use. So now I'm actually exploring and looking for other methods. And the same thing for the rows that grow through the concrete example, mid-school. A lot of times when we're the rows that grows through concrete, we have no resources available to us to realize that there are other ways around to grow. And I guess I'm not going to be able to find some cool way to make the analogy work in this situation, but I think that analogy may just be a bad analogy. Just like how Jay-Z said, you know, Jay-Z killed somebody one time where they said, well, you know, we're crabs in a barrel. And he's like, well, hold on. What are crabs doing in the barrel? That's not their natural environment. Get rid of that whole analogy. And I think that Q, you had a killer for that too. So, but I'd heard Jay do a killer for that at the same time. So I think sometimes we got to change those analogies and change our mindset when it comes to these things and realize that it's really about getting ourselves the best tools possible to start dealing with these situations, as opposed to getting angry at the fact that the tools that we've been using aren't working to solve these problems. Like these injustice problems, they're not working because we keep trying the same, pardon my French, but it gets to me sometimes. We're trying the same ass shit to try to deal with these injustices. We're gonna have to do something different. And yes, even when it comes to going to war, if you go to war and you fighting out of anger, you're more likely to lose than if you go to war with a clear head and you're using strategy and technique, and you're getting anger, you're keeping anger out of the fight, keep anger out of the battle. Does that make sense to you?
Same thing as boxing. Wilder's a perfect example.
Think about basketball, right? You know, I mean, you know, you talk somebody out that game, they get mad. Next thing you know, they're not getting any buckets, right? They fouling out, right? Because they're angry. They no longer can think in a way. They can't process the game the same way. So,
yeah.
So should I never get angry?
No, anger, I think anger is not something we have a choice. I don't think we have a choice over whether we get angry or not. We have a choice over what we do with that anger.
Oh, everyone, I want to just say that I am playing the devil's advocate for many of these questions.
Yes.
I want to make sure that's fair.
For sure, for sure.
I'm an educator, so, you know.
I see.
You know, I'm a devil's advocate. Okay.
No, that's important though, to have that extra perspective, because it's very easy to just get into an echo chamber. We all just start talking about everything and just kind of shaking each other's hands on everything, and it's a fruitless conversation. That's very valuable what you bring to the table, man. As always.
So we just gonna gloss over the fact that Quentin used to kidnap people.
I said it kept people from getting kidnapped.
Yeah, that's not what I heard.
Actually, I think he credits MOP and Annie up specifically for the reason people have not been kidnapped. So
honestly,
So but if he ain't had that song on deck, somebody coming up missing.
Let's not think about what happened. It's gonna make us angry. No, I'm joking.
We're gonna stay in this multiverse, this corner of the multiverse.
There you go.
Like, I think somebody was talking about the roads and the concrete, right? And some people are getting nourishment in this water. I think one of the things the organization Wilson Oasis has experienced is that we have these resources to help, and I'm out trying to water everybody's, cracked concrete pieces, and nobody wants it. Nobody wants to accept it. There's this strength that we have that, again, I think it's a generational thing that's passed down, where it's like, I want to try to do it on my own, or I can handle it. Like, how can we get past that to get us to accept the help that is given? Because it doesn't really make sense for me to have this money and not be able to use it.
Can I ask you a question? Are you seeing a difference with younger people, so the under 30 crowd? Because they seem to be much more in tune with being mentally healthy. Like I've got a 26, soon to be 27-year-old, And like I'll talk to her sometimes, and she'll just say stuff like the old version of me that used to kind of get angry at the people taking too long to order in Dunkin' Donuts. And, you know, but like we were talking about something one day, and she said, "Dad, is that going to matter in 5 years?" And I'm like, "Nah." And she was like, "What about in an hour?" I'm like, "Probably not." She's like, "Then blow that shit out." Part of my friend, you know, like she was like, "Yo, let that go. Have your moment. Don't let your moment have you." And I'm like, "All right, word." But she's way more in tune with her mental well-being. Her peer group seems to be way more in tune with their mental well-being than my peer group did at that same age. So I just like, so that's where my question is coming from. Just like the younger, like our children, do they seem to be more in tune with being open to the help and the resources than we do?
So yes. So actually, when I started Wilson Oasis, my thought was, I guess, Black men my age that are, you know, have kind of had these experiences, and they will be able to pass it down to their children. And it's funny, me and Malcolm had a conversation about this, about when I was collecting data, not really knowing how old the men were, right? And so when I did do that now, yes, the majority of people who I have seen use the mental health resources or more open to it are between 26 and 34. And so I think, you know, I come to realize after a certain age, I think because it's just so ingrained about mental health and the stigma around it, it's just kind of harder to reach an older generation. I think, I don't know, y'all look like my age too. So I think at my age, we're on that cusp of like what our parents was teaching us to be strong and do these certain things, but then we're also relating to our kids. My son is 21, so he is more open to it. So I'm learning to kind of adjust. So yes, 26 to 34 are the people who are more open to mental health and using resources and accessing it. It's us that we got to work on, the older people, the older generation.
By the way, Q, I don't know if you can hear my son's tablet, but it sounds like some jazz playing as he's falling asleep. So,
talking about right there. There you go.
But nah, like I know, like my father now is big into going to seek kind of healthy. You know, he counts, like he belongs to several groups, you know, and having talks with him as I've gotten older, I kind of like, I knew he was a little off. I say that kind of loosely, right? Half joking, but I knew he was angry when I was younger. I didn't know why he was angry, right? And as I've gotten older and we've kind of talked about stuff, I realized what he dealt with that he made sure we didn't have to deal with. You know, and like we've had a couple of talks where he was like, you know, I don't have any friends that I can talk to about something as simple as that. You know what I mean? And like I remember thinking, like, that's wild. Like, this is a normal discussion within my peer group, you know, but it was almost foreign. Like, he was in tune with it, but it was still being internalized because he couldn't share it with his friends or his peers. Like, I kind of watched him disengage with his best friends over the years, and I'm like, they must have had a falling out. You know, something must have happened we just don't know about. And I think in a way, the gap in what they consider normal just widened. So it's kind of wild. Like I look at him now, I'm like, yo, it's dope that at your age, you recognize that it's important to deal with this stuff. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's like I just remember vivid conversations with him or some of his friends, but it's like, you know, again, like Malcolm hit on earlier, you know, nah, we don't cry, you know, or you know, at the basketball courts, and if somebody fouled too hard and everybody ready to fight, and that was normal. You know what I mean? So
that I heard the term "be strong." I think Ayana said the term "be strong." That's a dangerous phrase. As I see mid school put in the chat, you know, the idea of being strong gives it paints the picture that anything other than strong is weak.
But it also doesn't define what strength is.
Right. But it doesn't define. It doesn't define what strength is. But when we have a construct of what it is when it's told to us, when something happens and someone says, "Be strong," or "Be strong for your family," or whatever the case may be.
I see where you're headed. Yeah.
There's a construct behind what that means, right? And we've taken that, and that's why, and it's dangerous because in those moments we don't feel like we can be quote unquote weak or vulnerable or break down and
human.
Exactly.
Human. Yeah.
Human. And then that, and we internalize, we don't know what, you know, there's a lot of stuff that goes on inside of us that we ignore, right? Like we really, like, you know, Ayana talked about anger, but sadness or grief, stress, like all of these things can be going on, and we're trying to be strong, and that can be more detrimental than positive.
I wanted to use my own story in terms of, because I hear we talk about anger or the response that we have to people, and a lot of times I think part of changing that stigma is the compassion part of it, right? A lot of people say I may refer to me as crazy or I'm different or whatever, but a lot of people don't know my story, and there's a reason why I am, because of the things I've been through. And so we put these stigmas on people because we don't know what's going on with that person. And Wilson Oasis started from the trauma that I experienced. I met a wonderful guy. We were to get married, and he was kidnapped and murdered 2 weeks before my wedding. So that affected my life. It affected how I saw friends, because my friends was like, he just left you, you know? So I didn't have support in the time that I needed support the most. I didn't trust the police because he was a Black man gone. The police, you know, didn't really care. I didn't trust my family because my family didn't even listen to me. You know, they wouldn't hear me. Nobody would really hear me. So I suffered a lot on the inside, because even though I was sad, people were like, no, you're strong. You got a kid, you got this, but nobody thought about what I felt like. It didn't matter to me that I had a son. It only mattered to me that I was hurt and I was in pain, and I didn't know how to relieve any of that. So even when I told my family, well, I want to kill myself, I had thoughts of suicide, I even had a whole plan. And they would just tell me, no, you're not. That's not what you do. Like, that's not who you are. You're stronger than that. And I spoke to my uncle. My uncle was the one who told me that. And I was like, you make me want to do it even more. So we do have to be careful of the words that we use to people and what we say and how we respond to people. Not only, you know, I asked for help. I begged for help. Because I knew that I wasn't doing things right. I wasn't thinking clearly. He had been missing for 2 years, so my mind was just kind of all over the place. And so I lost a lot of trust with people. I lost a lot of stuff, and I kind of sealed myself in to just be by myself so that I couldn't get hurt. That re-triggered my brain, so I think differently now. I see things differently. I don't do some things. It's not because I'm just being anal or antisocial. It's just because of the impact that this had on my life. This has been 21 years, and it still has an impact on my life. And that's part of the reason why I started Wilson Oasis. Because if I knew what I was going through as a Black woman trying to ask for help, I knew that it had to be harder for Black men. So if I just provided it for Black men so that they wouldn't have that struggle, because I don't have that, you know, I gotta be manly. I'm a woman, so like I don't have that. So I don't have a problem asking for help where I know Black men have a problem with it. It's an issue.
Wait, I got a story about asking for help real quick. So we on a boat, right? We on a boat, we on the lake. It's 5 black men on the boat. We having a little engine trouble. Not one of us black men asked nobody for help. Not one, right? Here comes Ayana. She drives to where we are. She flagging down people, right? It was a perfect example of like pride and ego. We literally were sitting on this boat. We ain't going nowhere. We trying to start it over. You know, we ain't doing nothing. She come over. She's like, "Hey, can you tow us? Can you help us?" We all sitting there like none of us would have ever asked the question. Is white folks white folks on boats riding by, black folks on boats riding by? We ain't asking nobody. And that's just a small microcosm of like this entire organization or what it is that we're trying to do. We view asking for help as weakness, point blank period. We view it as a weakness when the actuality is the asking for help is the strength. You can't get to point B without the help. And that's in any facet of life, but we view that as the weakness.
I'm shaking my head because like I'm that person. like my wife would say to me sometimes, like, you know, do you know where that's at in the grocery store? I'm like, nah, but I'll find it. I'm not about to ask the cashier. Oh, these for you?
For you.
Oh, I'll try them.
Birthday cake? I thought you might like.
I don't like Little Debbie like that, but I'll try them.
Oh, cause you like nasty.
Steve, we're not about to do that. But my you can have them. Like, I'll bring them to you. But you know, my wife would tell me, like, I'll be in the store. I'm not asking about no help. I'll find it. I'll walk up every one of these aisles 3-4 times before I ask for help. And it never dawned, like, wow.
You could say 20 minutes in the store.
All right, man.
And some frustration.
Right. And look, and some anger. Mad at myself because I can't find it. Then mad at myself because I want to ask for help. Yeah, but that's thank you. Now I can't promise I'm gonna get any better, but at least I'll be conscious of it now.
Hey, man, that's the start. That's the start.
So, awareness is a big thing. Like,
before we move on, hey, Damon, can you help me write my rhyme for next week, bro? So I can have
That's great.
What did G.I. Joe used to say? Knowing is half the battle. That awareness.
Half the battle. Yep.
That awareness, that goes a long way. Having that self-awareness, just to, man, I've been walking around for 5 minutes. If it's somebody right there, I can just ask them real quick. I might be able to get out of here sooner.
And I have gotten a little better at it, but I still, and I always justified it as kind of the thrill of the chase.
You normalized it.
Yeah, I did.
Hey,
it's a judgment-free zone, right? I'm gonna let you know.
I think I realized why I normalized it, though. I think it's just a couple bad experiences. You get a couple bad people that respond to you in a certain way, and it's because of what you look like, and that just turned you off and made you say, I don't want that experience anymore. I was in New York last weekend, and I asked the lady for some cash back, and I went for $100 for cash back. She gave me $100 bill. I'm like, all right, cool. Hey, can we just bust this down to a 20? She said, no. And just left it at that. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna be asking anybody that question anymore. I walked out of the store pissed. So
could you not just think like she may not have had it or may not have been allowed to do.
Oh, she tried to call me back as I was walking out the store. She's like, "What? You can go to customer service." I was like, I'd already flipped her the bird in my mind. I didn't do it in person, but I'd already flipped her the bird, and I was like, I don't care. I don't want that damn money. I'll figure out. I'll rip this bill in 5 and get 20s out of it. Fuck it. I was that upset. So yeah, it triggered me. But yeah, I think those experiences kind of play into kind of how we may be a little more stubborn than other groups too. Is we've had experiences that kind of reinforce us saying, no, we don't need to ask for help because it's going to lead to a bad result when we go to ask for it.
But I think
I have a question.
Can I have an amnesty hour for a second, Like, I'm realizing, like, maybe I'm not as good off as I think. Yo, listen, I don't mean to, like, I'm trying to come clean, you know, therapy. So my barber's like an hour from the crib, right? And my wife had to go somewhere tonight, so I had my son. I was like, by the time I get him from school, try to get down the road, I'm not gonna make it, get a cut, and be back in time for this. So I went to the mall. They got a couple barber shops in the mall. So I just swing through one of them and get a cut, right? So I already don't know the barber. So it's my turn to go. I got my son with me. So I'm like, you know, there's no like seating in the barber shop outside of barber chairs. So I'm like, you know, where can I have my son sit at? And there was a chair for the sink to wash your hair in the far back, and then empty barber's chairs next to that. So there was another young man sitting in that the hair washing chair. So dude was like, yo, just have your son sit in the barber chair next to it, right? So while I'm waiting for the dude who's gonna cut my hair to come back, the other people leave. Cayman's already seated. The other young man gets up out of the other chair, but to me, dude told me my son could sit here. So the dude just cut my hair, come in, he's like, nah, Slim, put him in the black chair. Now I'm defensive, right? I'm like, he's not talking to me, but ain't nobody else in here with a kid, right? So I go through my problem like, it ain't that deep. She just move him to the chair. But everything inside of me is like, nah, he got to hear about this, right? So I got to the point where I could speak in a normal talking voice because I'm 50 now and I understand how to do that. But I told him like, yo, and by the way, your man told me to sit my son there. And as I'm thinking about it, it probably wasn't the normal speaking voice. But I say all that to say, like, I kind of was thinking to myself at the time, like, yo, you don't have to make this more than it is. Like, these are your people, you know what I mean? It's not that deep, but something inside of me still felt like, and he did a great job of de-escalating it, right? He was like, yeah, no, I understand, brother. It's honestly not a problem. We just don't really want kids sitting in those chairs so they don't get hurt. You know what I mean? And he did a great job of not allowing it to become more than what it was. And you know, I made sure I thanked him at the end, but you know, kind of to the point, like, yeah, I almost felt like I not even felt, I had to say something about it. I had to be right.
Wait, so I have a question to get you guys. I'm just curious. I mean, you don't have to answer, but like, have any of you guys gone to counseling or seen a therapist?
I have.
Yeah, once or twice.
My last experience wasn't too good, and I've like, because of my last experience and a couple others, and because I know myself, I've been hesitant to go for counseling this time around. But I know I need to kick myself in the butt and get myself going again. So I know how beneficial counseling can be, but I also know how, you know, when counseling goes wrong, what kind of a mark it can lead to.
Exactly.
And I can also say, like, not implying at all that this is counseling, but like, Sha and I have had this discussion, like, my growth has been tested kind of several times as a part of this GRYSKLL collective, right? And what I've realized is I'm joking a lot, but I have learned to kind of take a sec and think about what really is going on, and is there really something behind it, or am I just looking for something to be there, and how to have that discussion as an adult, as opposed to this angry person. And I think I did pick some of that up in counseling, but being able to exercise it more kind of here. But yeah, I have and still go, not as often as I probably should based on what I'm sharing, but yeah.
First, I want to give you props, Rashid, for going to the unknown barber, because I couldn't have did it. I would have had to go to the, you know, I would have had to go to the normal. So
that was probably playing into it too. You know, I'm like, yeah, I ain't want to jack me up. You know, I ain't want to be in here. But yeah.
But to the point of I think, once again, I use the word awareness, like you just being aware of what was happening. You might not have, maybe not in that moment per se, but being aware at this point, like that in itself is part of the mental wellness aspect of it, because you have to be aware of your thoughts and emotions, because if not, then it is then we're going nowhere. There is no growth in that aspect. And in regards to the therapist question, I too have went to therapy, but I've seen several different therapists, and the therapist matters, yo. Like it really, the therapist matters. I use the term culturally competent, right? Like that therapist has to be culturally competent to be able to have the connection and create that space. Because let's be honest, we all go into it with a fence up. We all go in with that brick wall around us. If we went to therapy, even if we haven't went to therapy, we probably all have some sort of layer out there, right? So the therapist who is able to, you have that clinical therapist who just wants to kind of diagnose you, and then you have the therapist who really wants to help you. And there is a huge difference between the two.
Yeah, definitely that. I agree with that.
Yeah, my first experience. I didn't mean to cut you, Sha.
I wasn't gonna say a thing, bro. Go ahead.
Oh, my first experience was actually with a black dude, and I hated him. Like he was almost the holier than thou dude. Like, everything that I tried to share, he had a real life experience of how in his life it was so much different but better. The second person I went to was actually an Asian lady, and like when I first got there, she kind of hit me with the so what are you kind of expecting? And I'm like, fences up, da da da. She's like, I'm gonna be honest with you, we all got stuff we're dealing with. So I'm not perfect. I can't claim to be perfect. I'm willing to listen, kind of share with you based on my training and study as well as experience, but I can't sit here and act like I have all the answers, because I don't. And that immediately knocked all of my walls down. And it was very effective from there, because I felt like I could share openly and honestly. So yeah, it definitely does matter.
So the next question is, why'd you stop?
Cause I was straight. Don't you hear all that stuff you sharing, D? No, I'm joking. To be honest, I don't know. I honestly got to a point where what I had initially gone for had kind of been done, and what I was dealing with at that time, I guess I felt like I had kind of gotten through, and to be honest, kind of lost touch. Like I'm sure I could find her again, but that, if I'm being honest, it just, kind of, I hate to say ran its course, but that situation resolved itself, and I kind of just moved on.
I will say with therapy, I mean, that's what's supposed to happen. I mean, that's what you kind of wanted to it served its purpose. I think therapy, I guess, is just like similar to like finding a good barber, you know what I mean? So you might have to experience some bad barbers before you find the perfect one. Same thing with a therapist. I mean, I've been through several therapists. You have to find the one that makes you feel comfortable. And I think that's part of, too, at Wilson Oasis, our therapists are culturally competent. They look just like us. And I think that's kind of one of the things that I kind of want to put out there, not with a therapist that's, always, holier than thou, like you say, because then you disconnect from people. It doesn't matter if they're Black, they can be Black and still be like that and still not be able to identify or connect with their client. You want to be able to connect with their client. And I think people don't realize, and that's knowledge, that you don't have to stay with your therapist. If you don't like it or you don't feel good about it, I think you should talk about it with your therapist and then maybe ask for them to find another therapist. I mean, even with us, with our organization, if you came back and said, listen, the therapist you sent us to is not working out, we have other therapists that can be, used, you know, for whatever reason. We try our best to try to match, you know, people together, but you don't have to stay with your therapist, and it doesn't have to be a year-long therapy session. You know, sometimes you do need to just maybe deal with something at that time. That is mental health. You're dealing with it, with what you're going through, and you fixed it, or you know, feel better about it. That's better than not talking to anybody at all. And so I'm glad you guys been together.
Everybody gets activated or triggered by something. It's just important that we know what that is. It's important that we're aware of those triggers or those mechanisms that activate us. And that is, you know, that is how we begin to heal.
Yeah.
I also had like one little suggestion too, because I know that you seem to get angry a little bit, and I think sometimes, just like Dragon was saying, like an experience happened to him, right? And then like now that experience happened, like he not want to go through it again. And I think you have to accept that other people may have those experiences too. So for example, the gentleman in the barbershop, it might have been a kid in that chair before that messed the chair up or hurt himself before. So his only reaction is safety. Like, I don't want no problems at my barbershop. I don't want nobody trying to sue me. And that might have been his response. And it may be sometimes if you try to recognize that it may not have anything to do with you, but what that person might have been experiencing, then it probably won't be so defensive about everything. You know what I mean? Like,
no, that's very true.
Same thing with the money. You know, you couldn't get the money. Somebody might have set her up when they asked for change. You know what I'm saying? So her response is like, no. So it most times it doesn't have anything to do with you. I'm still learning that. Like, I mean, Malcolm knows I'm very emotional. So, but I do. Shut up.
Is that anger right here, Ayana? Tell us why you feel like that, sis. No, I'm just...
That's
so,
a good point.
Just accept that it may not have anything to do with you. It might have been an experience they had previously, and it's just reflecting on you. And I think that's a part of how we deal with anger, because we immediately like, oh, it's about me, or, you know, I got to do this to protect, you know, this, or stop this from happening, as opposed to just saying, let me just move my child, or just ask the question, then what do you suggest that I do to get change? You know what I mean? And I think if those are the things that, because from the time that you walk out the store and all of that anger, it does do something to your body. It does something to your mind, because that's still a period of time that you're angry. Even if you talk yourself out of it, I think that's the part we want to do, though. We want to reduce that amount of time that you are festering in the anger or for whatever it is. I think it's part of the talking it out with a therapist or a group. And, you know, I know you say you guys have conversations, but we're just processing that anger, come up with different ways to cope with it, a coping mechanism or something like that. It just helps.
Shout out, you know, the 4 agreements, you know, don't take anything personal. All right.
About to bring that up next. Yep.
Take nothing personal.
Yeah, the book, The 4 Agreements, it gives you a couple that are very helpful. What you were saying, Ayana, actually is very helpful too. Perspective is the word that I use most frequently when I'm trying to reason with myself. Like, okay, this is my perspective on the situation, but, you know, what is that person? How is this person connecting to the situation? What's happening with them? That helps me diffuse a lot now. And then, like you said, Malcolm, the 4 agreements, don't take anything personally. What was be impeccable with your word. And then the accountability is the other one too. It's like what
I need to read this.
What part
life changing
on me is the biggest one. I think that accountability was the biggest turnaround for me out of everything over the past couple of years.
4 agreements is life changing. Absolutely.
I definitely need to read that.
Oh, I recommend that book to anybody. It's a short, easy read. That one, and there's another one called How Yoga Works that gives you some powerful lessons on life too. That I'll send you the names, man.
Okay.
That don't make assumptions one, yo.
But so my don't make assumptions and don't take personally though, like the impeccable with the word, I'm pretty, but the assumptions, whoo, I can make them with the best of them.
And the way the book breaks it down, you'll see it gets even deeper with the be impeccable with your word, like the reasoning behind it. Each one kind of leads to the other one.
Yeah, I can see that.
They're all kind of hand in hand. It's really dope. And the last one was
always do your best.
That one, I thought the first time I read the book, I thought that chapter was the stupidest thing ever. I'm like, why are you just gonna keep repeating, do your best, do your best, do your best? But the second time I read the book, it made a whole lot more sense and it resonated more with me. So it's one of those things that you probably want to read multiple times. And everybody I've talked to who's read it walks away with the same understanding. They come back a changed person afterwards.
I'm about to get on my T-Bear. Is this an audio book by chance?
It is. So it is.
Dang, man, Audible changes lives.
Yeah.
Does it ever?
Yeah.
So when you're probably taking that hour drive to the barbershop, just go ahead.
So
in the Audible.
So are you in Charlotte still?
Yes.
All right. So I live in Landis. My barber's in Gastonia.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you in Charlotte as well?
Yeah, I'm in Charlotte as well. Yep.
Okay. All right. Word. So yeah. So you know, I'm exit 68 off of 85. My barber's exit 22.
There's no barber closer to you?
That's what I'm getting at. But I'm a loyalist. Like
I'm trying to say is he lives in a privileged neighborhood.
That's not what I'm trying to say at all.
Hey man, you need to have him come to you then. You need to just go ahead and just have him start coming to you.
But like, so I used to live in Charlotte, and he was right off of North Sharon Amity. So I used to live in East Charlotte. He was off of North Sharon Amity. Then I moved to University, but still 15 minutes. He opened his own shop in Gastonia. So from Charlotte, I was like, half hour, that's my man, I'm a support. And you know, you hit on it, Malcolm. Like, you know, a barber.
Yeah, that's serious. It's serious.
Right. So, and I'll be honest, I'm probably still going to him. I just had to get that off of me today. Like, it's been 3 weeks. It ain't looking too good for this weekend either. I gotta do something today. But yeah. But I asked that because I would absolutely love to, you know, partake in some of these events, you know, the Top Golf especially, but you might see a bit of my competitive side come out.
That's cool. That's part of self-care. That's part of self-care. You know.
I don't know if it's self-care the way I
You gonna see his clubs flying down the lane.
Yo, while we laughing, I used to have a problem with breaking clubs, but I went to counseling. But yeah, all jokes aside, I would definitely like to, you know, connect with y'all on some of that stuff and anything I can do to help. You know what I mean? You know,
he's the one.
I shared the website. I don't have the link because there's a link that, you know, you can share with any Black man that, you know, feel like wants counseling or needs counseling. And I mean, it's almost an immediate thing. Like I really just want to be able to just flood the community with like resources. I mean, it is available. We have the funding for it, and we just want to be able to use it. And so, you know,
hard to help.
Even if they just go one time, I think for me that's a win, because just having somebody to go and talk to somebody to see the process, to see, you know, how easy or difficult it may be to be with a counselor. It may set you on your own path or journey, but I think, you know, I think it's just important just to at least experience counseling or therapy, however you want to receive it. So
do you have details on the like what the process is that you could probably share here? Because I had two things before I go too deep into that. Also, I was going to say maybe one thing that would help is to give testimonials, like hearing your personal story is something that would make me say, hey, maybe I'm more interested in counseling. Same with you, Malcolm. Hearing your personal story was definitely one of those things that made me say, okay, maybe I need to reconsider going to counseling as well. So those personal testimonials, I think, carry a lot of weight. But is there an intake process, or can you tell us what the process is like for getting counseling for somebody who wants to?
Sure. So there's a link on our Facebook page, Wilson Oasis on Facebook, and then on our website, the one that I just added into the chat, there's a link for the intake form. So what it is pretty much just collecting data, like basic information, asking what therapist you want to see, male or female, what your availability looks like, just kind of getting a brief like of why you may want counseling. It's just very basic and generic answers and questions. And so then once I get that, it goes to a therapist, depending on who you ask for or what the need is. Like I said, I try my best to try to connect a match for the client and for the therapist, because the therapist cannot not like the client as well. So that can also be a thing too. So not like, but it may not be the best fit for that therapist. And so the therapist would then just contact the recipient, and then we would have the recipient sign a contract stating that, you know, you're going to counseling through the scholarship program, and we just ask that people attend the counseling sessions. But after 2 missed sessions, it kind of forfeits, because then it's like you're not taking it serious, and the therapist has to still show up. Yeah. So I mean, I try to make it as simple as possible, because we want people to come and access it as simple as possible. So that would be it pretty much from our end.
Beautiful. And this is men, women, LGBTQ, all that? So
it is for Black men. I do accept, I guess, females that identify as if they identify as a Black man. Okay. I accept that. So yes, it's for anybody and everybody. At one point we did do for women, but I think the focus is more important to be with the Black men. Gotcha. I think the Black men are very valuable in communities, and I just want to be able to support as much as possible. Yeah. I know there's some barriers, and we want to help remove those barriers for access.
Well, maybe if there's a way we can put together some sort of commercial or some sort of ad, we'd be happy to run ads or commercials during the episodes or after the episodes or something like that, if that'll help spread the message and just kind of keep pushing that message on our end. And if there's something else we can do as a crew to help, I'm sure, you know, some, if not all of us, would be gung-ho to, you know, do whatever we can to help push the message and help, you know, push to help your agenda move forward as you see fit.
I truly appreciate that. I do have one more question. So like I've started doing retreats in DR, right? And so like one of my goals is to do a retreat for Black men. Do you think that's something that men, I got a couple of questions. I want honest answers.
Yeah.
Do you think Black men, is that something that they will accept a retreat where it's something that is focusing on like self-care? And realistically, do you think it would be difficult for me to remove some distractions? Because I've been in DR, and I know how things happen in DR, and do you think it would be difficulties keeping men focused and not distracted?
In the DR?
DR.
So where
I'll just be honest.
Where in the DR are you suggesting that the retreat take place?
So I'm gonna be very honest. So the retreat is in Cabarete, right? But that is right next to Sosua. And I know if you've been to DR, if you know anything about Sosua, you already know what it is. And so it is very close proximity of where the retreat would be. But again, the compound that I have is secure. So like, I just feel like you don't have control if people want to leave a certain place and go do something, right? I'm not chasing anybody down to try to, but I do want people to know that this is supposed to be about self-care and not other things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have recreational nights built in to that? Or would
yes
you have
and no.
Nights built in?
So yes, recreation to a certain degree, right? Because recreation can lead to a lot of other stuff. So, so for the one that I'm doing in November, because the compound is on the beach, there's a lot of things that can be, people can come there and do certain things. So like there's a tour to the caves and a more of a culture experience, right? And then most of the other stuff will be just kind of as a group focusing on like deep breathing, meditation, yoga, journaling. A therapist is kind of there to do like more coaching, and like a dinner on the beach, a bonfire, stuff like that. The compound itself has enough entertainment, I would say, because it has a gym, it has a pool, a jacuzzi, and all those other things. But also, again, thinking about men and the masculinity, it would just be men. So like I don't know how comfortable or uncomfortable men would be, and then because I'm there, like I would be the host. So yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how that would realistically look for men.
I think myself being in the mindset I'm in now, I think I'd be cool with it. But I don't think in my previous mindsets, I don't think I would take up the offer, because I think DR in my mind would be already pre-wired to think a certain way.
See, my experience in the DR, I did not enjoy it. So, speaking personally, I don't know. So the idea is appealing. The DR doesn't really
appeal to you.
Yeah, but that's me personally.
What happened to you, brother, in the DR? You're not angry about
well,
it,
for
are you?
one, like when we went, it wasn't bad. My wife was pregnant at the time, so that was like I prefer Jamaica to the DR all day and all night. And there wasn't a bad experience necessarily. It just didn't. There was nothing about it that I was like, yeah, I gotta go back.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
that's a note to the retreat then.
No, but I was about to say, like, but for something like this though, like I like the idea of that opportunity to bond and grow. Like one of the things you said was like, that's depending on how many people it is, that's a lot of men and testosterone and I don't know how big the compound is and how much space.
Pretty big.
Have.
It's pretty big.
But
big.
I think, like, even though I joke a lot, like I've learned that I can get along with just about anybody. So like it does sound appealing to me, even though again I'm not pressed to ever see the DR again. That doesn't rule it out for me.
Gotcha.
Now I'm thinking about like people that I know that might be interested and could benefit from it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a poll we could put out there.
I want to. I mean, I do. I want to. I have my own reservations. I mean, I've been, working with this nonprofit for a minute, and I work with Black men, so like I know what it is.
Yeah.
I think in terms of that, it would have to be packaged in a way where the participants can see benefit, right? That the benefit of being around X amount of men for X amount of days, doing whatever it is, doing these different workshops and things of that nature. I think the selling point would have to be on what happens, what's going to happen here, and then what happens after I leave. What's the benefit of me actually going to this place with this group of men? How is that going to benefit me? How is that going to benefit my family? How is that going to benefit my community? I think that will have to be a selling point, because that's, we're men. It's testosterone and ego and pride. That's a lot going to just be around, some other men for this few days that you may or may not know.
Yeah. And I know myself, I have a low tolerance for being around anybody who doesn't want to go all the way in on a conversation. If I got to deal with ego and arrogance, it's an automatic no with me nowadays. I just don't have the tolerance for it. So I can see how that would turn off somebody that's kind of like me, but somebody else may be a different story. Like I would do it now because I just welcome the challenge, and I understand that those are my triggers, and I would understand that I've already communicated that. But without having these conversations and without having an experience with people like the GRYSKLL fellas, I don't know if I would have done it.
What is your, if you even have one, how many people would you like to see on this, I guess would be the inaugural retreat, to feel like it was, I guess, a success, for a lack of a better term? Like, do you have a number of people that you would like to see attend in mind?
I mean, the compound is set up for 10 to 12 people. I mean,
Okay.
possibly a little bit more. But so there's like 2 spaces of living. There's like a villa, and then there's like 10 rooms of like 2 rooms have like double beds, and then 8 have a single bed and has a bathroom and all that nice stuff in it too. So I mean, realistically for me, I mean, 5 to 10 people I think would be a success in terms of the number of people.
Because I think 6 people is tolerable, and it's also a small enough number to where you can adapt to the varying personalities. I think even 10 might be real. I was hoping it wasn't like 30 or 40, where I think a lot of the stuff, and again, I told you extremes, right? I don't really do the mid too well, but you know, kind of to Shah's point, like I think with 5, 6 people,
manageable.
It's manageable for all 6 of those people.
Okay.
And again, 10, I don't even think 10 is really that large a number.
Right.
I was actually hoping you were going to say 10 or less. So again, just thinking about me personally, you know what I mean? But that seems like a number that is big enough to where you don't feel like you're just trapped with the same 1 or 2 people, even if y'all don't vibe, but it's not so large to where you almost feel like you get lost in the space.
Okay. This is your first year doing it? First year you're looking to do it?
So, I mean, I actually did it in January.
Yeah.
I had 4 people register for it, but I think COVID I don't know what happened here, but something happened. I don't know if COVID like ramped back up or whatever.
Yeah, we had a big spike in January.
Was spiking around there.
Yeah, Omarion was out dancing on everything.
Yeah.
So 3 people canceled and 1 person came, which was a little bit difficult when 1 person only come because it changed a lot in terms of access to stuff. So that's why I want to do it differently this time.
Yeah.
I don't really know what I can do differently. People cancel at the last minute, but I definitely upped the game though for November. So, but I think that's what I want to start doing is kind of retreats in DR. And I've even thought about, and I don't know, it's probably even more challenging. Like I would love to do like a co-ed retreat because I think it's important to hear, men's perspective on certain things without it being that he say, women are strong and Black men are strong. Just a conversation like, this is what we need, this is what we want, this is what we look for, this is what we desire on both ends without it being, like an attack, like, battle of the genders and stuff like that. Like I never want to do that. I think it's just
Nissa, he's there for the co-ed one.
Yeah, he definitely is.
I think that plays a big role too. I think that role, unfortunately, but even if with all men, I think you get the right people evangelizing or speaking, singing the praise of the retreat. That could work very well too, if you get the right, what do you call it, the right beta group in to get the first one and get their testimonials coming back out.
Yeah,
like behind the scenes, you need more of how you're building and putting this thing together will get more people on board. Not so much like the final presentation, but more people are interested in the journey. So like if you are gonna do that, like get a lot of footage. Like sometimes those people can, not like an MTV thing, but you can let people know that, hey, I may be recording you for A, B, and C, so be prepared. And so that can, like, people can see that growth and have testimonials along the way. That would help too. Like, man,
that's been one of the dilemmas as well, because I mean, mental health for me, one of the things that I we try to build is trust, right? Because a lot of Black communities, we lose trust in each other, in the system. And so, one of the things is to develop trust. And I know everybody's not, even though they may say what you're doing is a great idea or the idea of mental health counseling is great, but a lot of times it's not publicly acknowledged, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people who I've helped and have never said, this is what Wilson Oasis has done, or, blah, blah, blah. And I respect it, I get it, because everybody's not there for mental health, right? Because I'm there, I'm all the way in, but that's not the same for everybody else. And I don't respect it. And I do try to respect people's privacy on certain things. And so, I do think the video, and I think that's very important, but that has been a thorn in my side, because I can't get anybody to say, out loud,
they don't want the crazy label. They don't want that
stigma.
But that stigma. Yeah, but maybe
I can attest to it. It happens. When I started telling people I was dealing with depression and anxiety, you saw people start doing this. They didn't know how to deal with it.
They don't understand it.
Yeah, so they run from it normally, and they run from the conversation. That's
even though they're probably on the cusp of it themselves.
That's what I was gonna say. They're probably dealing with it themselves.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
They may not know what to say. Like you say, I mean, almost anything can be the wrong thing. If you say everything is going to be okay, that's wrong. If you say be strong, if you say man up, so sometimes it's not that they're just trying to run away. It's just that they may not know what to say.
Yeah, and I don't fault anybody for it. Yeah, it's not something where how, like I wouldn't know how to handle somebody, work with somebody in a situation like that. But once I went through it, I understood the importance of having somebody there to be able to talk to for it. So that's why I'm trying to learn. I think it takes somebody being able to evangelize something like this. You had something you were going to say?
Well, yeah, I was going to say, so the Self-Care Me Please is the website for the retreats now that I'm going to do. Anything that pertains to like doing self-care, right? Especially for Black men. Before COVID hit, like we had this whole six-part thing that we was going to do. We had a financial part. Like Black men, we need you to be financially stable. Black men, we need you to laugh more. Black men, we need you to talk more. And so these programs were to try to create more conversations about mental health. Because in my head is when once a man gets it, because he's usually the head of the household, then he can instill that in the home, right? With the wife, with the kids, with the family, with the community. And so that's part of the goal of why I cater more to Black men. So if you just want to check out, you can just look at it, because I haven't really shared it, but I created it myself. But if you want to check out the selfcaremeplease.org and just your feedback, that's the location that I have. Any suggestions or whatnot. The cost out of pocket, I don't really understand.
You got to pay for it. You got to pay for it.
For the retreat, for sure. Yes. Scholarships, no, you don't have to pay for the counseling scholarship. And we've received grants.
We should all go. The people in this camp that can go should probably go.
I didn't want to kind of put anybody on the spot necessarily. Yeah, that was a part of the reason for me asking the question the way that I did. Like
I'd be in for it.
Yeah,
I mean, and the other option, I mean, it still would be easy for me either way. So say you 5-6 want to go, right? If you give me a date, I can put it together. You can say, listen, we want to come January, whatever time, you know what I'm saying? And there's 6 of us. I can put it together at that time. Like I can pull things together and kind of let you know. I mean, I still have access, like I said, everything can be included. I can make it how you want to make it. Because I think that's going to be my way of doing things there. Hi.
That's beautiful. All right, Bear. Have a good night, bro.
Yeah, I would be, and like November's actually not a good month for me. My anniversary month, and then it's a heavy wedding season, so I'm usually DJing. So November's not a good month for me.
So we should talk offline and just like
see if we can put something together. Who would be interested?
An event, yeah. We'll bring cameras and everything. We'll film it up.
I was gonna say, and then like, because I was already like, I'll do a testimony. I'm like, how whack is that? Like, I haven't used the service, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
but yeah. We might be able to figure something out where we can.
I mean, so like if y'all want to talk offline and say, listen, we want to come. I mean, you got to give me a couple days just in case those dates aren't okay.
And I mean, I'd even be cool with having you present for the offline talk. But I was just saying, tonight's probably not the best time for us to
right.
Take some time to think about it.
Me, Damon, and Shad decided we're all going this day tomorrow. Right? You're going to like it.
But yeah, maybe you could help us guide us through the decision-making process and the planning process too. So I'm completely with you being there through every step of us talking about it. I just didn't think tonight was probably the time for us to
right. And then too, I always like the Top Golf. You're always welcome. We have a meetup group that Malcolm he leads for Black men. Real talk. So and then we do the Top Golf Mondays every first Monday of the month.
It's the first Monday. I was about to ask that because I just saw it on your site. So it's the first Monday every month.
Yeah, first Monday of every month. And then the Conversation on the Lake, like I think in May and July, what I was going to do is just try to offer different nonprofits or organizations. I just really believe in like if we just support and help each other, like it can change a lot of things. So I just want to offer my boat. So people can come out. I mean, May is Mental Health Month and July is Black Mental Health Month. So during that time, I just kind of want to push whatever kind of self-care people need, boat rides and stuff like that. Like if you have people that want to come on the boat in May, I'm not asking for a certain amount. I just ask for a donation to Wilson Oasis, but there's no minimum or maximum. I just do it for the love. I really enjoy seeing people relax, having a good time. I like it.
So
now is that men only?
So for May, for the May and July, no, it's for whoever. I'm just offering it so that people can have the opportunity. I mean, I know everybody don't have access to a boat, and I ain't never trying to knock nobody over the head. I believe in supporting the community. It doesn't make sense to charge and knock each other over the head if you're trying to come up. So I just want to offer a stress-free session on the boat, honestly.
It's just in regards to conversations on the lake, it's just, you can't be mad on the water. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like you in this serene environment. It's a safe space, and the conversations that we've had on that boat are, like we might we started strangers. The first time I went, I didn't know anybody on the boat. By the time we got done, we had lunch, we got back to the dock, we were, it was a whole different type of conversation we were having. So it's a beautiful thing.
Is that on Lake Norman? Or
Wiley?
Lake Wiley, okay.
Yeah.
I don't like Lake Norman.
My bad.
I know that was a trigger for me. That was a trigger because.
All right.
Right.
Well, and look, we're trying to do something like we're doing a 3-month trial right now, like doing having somebody on once a month for some mental health related conversations or exercises, and to kind of see how this works out for us and for the audience. If it catches on, maybe there's something long term we can do to kind of help work with you guys if we can keep going with these mental health episodes on a regular basis. I'd love to partner up if there's something we can do to help out there or something. Maybe we can figure out some sort of combined messaging and program or something we can put together. If you've already got the gears and everything in place, if we can just become an advertising arm or an intake arm to kind of help you guys out, I'm more than happy to do whatever I can to help out there.
I appreciate that. And I do apologize for my therapist not coming on. I think he double booked. So I think he would have
He's a popular guy. He's a popular
Yeah,
around
he
these
would have
parts.
fit in good with this too.
Maybe we'll do another episode with you guys if we keep these up, because I think.
All right, let's come clean. I double as a therapist, guys. I didn't want to tell you all this. Yeah, so we talking about the popularity and stuff.
I didn't want to out you, She.
No, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. I appreciate you trying to keep the.
So Tommy got a job, huh?
Yeah, Tommy finally got a job.
DJ therapy
on the 5th floor.
Right.
He work with brother man.
Yeah, eating sandwiches. But I already put the 2nd of May on my calendar for the Top Golf. So I definitely plan to come support that. Yeah, and I'll try to get to as much stuff that y'all doing as possible. And then, if I can be a voice of any sort, whatever I can do to kind of help, kind of line what Shah was saying. But, being local, anything I can do to help, just let me know. If y'all want some music for something, I'm not looking for no money, and I promise not to play MOP.
Except for when they need to get that thing out.
But seriously, if y'all want to do something for a couple hours at something, and I'm free, I don't mind coming, setting up. Again, I'm not even looking for no money, just to kind of support. I'd be glad to help however I can.
This is recorded, right?
Yeah, right. Nah, that's not what I said.
Okay.
Hold on. They got the footage though. We don't got no access, so you'll never see that.
Right.
Wait, so I got a question. What's a technology therapist? Technology. What's a technology therapist? Or were you trying to say technically? Or is that the word technically?
Technically, I'm a therapist. He's saying technically I'm a therapist.
Well, technically. Because he's got a degree in psychology, I think.
Right.
Undergrad degree.
It does not make you a therapist, sir. Please don't repeat that out loud to anyone else. It's real talk on this conversation. That's all.
Got you. If I ever want to do something with college, Nig, can you get your mic on, bro? Are you in a bad place?
No.
Yes. I have more than just the undergrad degree. I have 2 master's degrees on all this. But just the therapy thing, it was just so tough, listening and just being a part of the difficulties and challenges of everybody. Yeah, and then as I understand it, you need your PhD or you need another degree to be a counselor, and I don't have that 3rd degree.
No, all you need is your master's to be a counselor. You get your master's in whatever you're.
You need it in counseling, right?
Yeah. So there's not for a life coach, and there's substance abuse counseling that I think you can get from CPCC, but for me, I was in my 3rd year of marriage and family therapy, so that's just a specialized group that I can do therapy with. And then there's a clinical therapist and a social work therapy, LSW. I know the acronym's better. The LSW can do therapy. It's just getting that licensure part of it.
Yeah, the license that's very tough. I'm not nowhere near that.
Yeah.
I thought about going to school for that too, and I realized I internalized too much. I'd be taking everybody's problems home.
But that's why when you go to school, those are the things that you learn, and that's the difference between a therapist and a life coach. Those are the things that you learn because that's normal, right? Like we just talked about normal feelings and emotions. So there's a lot of things that most therapists have had an experience and they want to help other people. So there's always something that can trigger somebody. Like for me, grief is a trigger for me, right? So, but that I can't show that in a therapy room, in a session room. So everybody has their triggers, and that's what school is for. It teaches you how to manage those things, because most therapists, all therapists should have another therapist, or they have somebody to talk to for their own team. You know what I mean? So that's how it's supposed to work. So
can I ask you, what do you think about counselors who don't have all of those degrees. And some therapists don't have the specialized degrees, but they're still working as therapists.
So I used to get upset because I think it's almost like saying somebody, like Dr. Ed calling himself Dr. Ed, and he's not a doctor, right? Because a doctor goes through schooling to have that title as a doctor. So at one point, I used to get kind of frustrated about people saying, oh, I'm a counselor, I'm a therapist, because they use it almost like and the, right? Because you're talking to somebody, oh, I'm giving therapy to this person because I'm talking to them. But it just because you're talking to someone doesn't mean that you're giving the best advice for that person, right? So I don't think that there are therapists who are not licensed, because you have to be. And even if you think that your therapist is not licensed, you can always go on to Psychology Today and see therapists that are licensed and registered. Now, there are student therapists who aren't licensed, but they are working on their hours, but they're in school for that. And I mean, that's usually said at the time, like Pfeiffer offers therapy for the students, because that was, we go for our clinicals. It's just built in the school. Yeah. So I think people like substance abuse, there's a substance abuse training certifications at CPCC, right? It doesn't say that they're not a counselor, but they've had training to talk and work with people who deal with substance abuse. So people call us, we use counselor in many different forms. So I used to get mad, I'm not gonna lie, but now I don't, because I just think it's just what people identify with, and that has nothing to do with me. You know what I mean? Like, because if you want a therapist, you can see who's a therapist and who's licensed by going on Psychology Today, and then you can see everybody.
You know, in New, I'm not sure if you're from New York, but in New York, you can, you know, be a counselor, a psychologist, a marriage therapist, and a bunch of stuff without necessarily having that second master's, by just taking classes. I just wanted to know if you think that it's better for us, to go to those who have that second master's degree, specifically in therapy, or do you think that there's benefit in going to some of the others?
I think it's benefit. Same thing, talk about therapy and finding that connection. I think you can find somebody to talk to, and they don't have any kind of like degree or licensure. But if that person resonates with you, I think there are people who are very intelligent and have a very broad spectrum on mental health and what steps to take without any type of degree. I think it's on your comfort level. I mean, a lot of people talk to me, you know, they won't accept the counseling, but they'll talk to me, and I'll listen all day long. But I also say that I'm not a therapist only because I was in school for it, and I don't want any trouble, because I don't want anybody to think that I'm a therapist. But I will listen, and I think I have education in knowing how to listen and sit quiet and respond in a way that's guiding them to go get the help that they need, right? But so I think anybody can take help from whomever works for everybody, basically. But like, you know, that's why I use Psychology Today. But if you're looking for a therapist for a diagnosis or for a more in-depth, structured type of counseling, you know, I think then you should go to Psychology Today and research the therapists that are licensed and what they're licensed in. Because you're right, there are people who might be a LSW, but they say they do marriage and family therapy, right? But that's not what they're licensed in. But they say they can do it because you can talk to anybody in the room as a couple or as a family, but that's not where your specialty is. I think it's still going to be a little bit different.
I think Psychology Today doesn't, I don't think enough of our therapists who look like us list themselves on Psychology Today.
You're wrong about that one. Stay on there because you got to promote yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I've looked on Psychology Today, and several therapists who I know to be therapists are not listed on Psychology Today. And I just think that there is that was just a kind of a caveat, you know. It's just that's not the end all be all when it comes to finding a therapist, but I also wanted to say I get angry when financial advisors say they're financial advisors and they're not licensed. I just wanted to throw that out there.
It's the same thing, right?
Is that something like how I feel about mumble rap, baby?
Yeah, like
kind
you, same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing. Like,
I will say there are people who say they're therapists and they're not therapists. I will say that.
So you know,
I believe it. I believe that.
In New York City, you can get a job as a therapist without having those second master's degrees.
Yeah,
I don't know what you mean by second master's degree. Like whatever it's only one master's degree that's required for. It's the licensure part of it. So I know somebody who graduated from Pfeiffer in marriage and family therapy. He has a degree in marriage and family therapy, but he is not a therapist. So he has a job. He has a job as, I forgot what he is, but it's not. It's the licensure that makes.
He's not licensed as a therapist.
He's not licensed, but
he's not a licensed therapist.
Right, but he has a degree in marriage and family therapy. Those are the two different types of jobs. So you can still get a job. So I forgot what his title is. But and if he wanted to talk to somebody, of course he has the education to talk to people in a group in marriage. But he's not licensed. That's the part that will get you in trouble, right? So he can't just see people and say he's a licensed therapist. You can't just see people and say you're a licensed therapist. Like, you would get in a lot of trouble.
Is disclosing up front that you're not a licensed therapist, does that kind of protect you as an individual though? Once you
That's why I say it all the
make that
time.
disclosure. Right, I heard you mention that you say it when you're talking to people. So okay.
But like if you wasn't in school for it, like because I was in school for it, if anything happens, they say that's the only reason. But like if I was just, if I was just somebody else, because people told me they're therapists, right? So, but I was in school. That's the only reason I say it, because I deal with it, and because I was in school with it, and if I didn't finish, that's the only reason why I say it, because I just don't want it to come back later on if I decide to go back and finish.
No, right, that makes sense.
It's like a
disclaimer.
Like malpractice, right? Like I can't say that you told me to do something crazy in the therapy session if you're claiming to be a therapist, right? And you say something and then I wind up hurting myself or hurting someone else. There's that liability piece, and that's why the licensure is for some important.
Absolutely.
How's everybody feeling after this? Any other thoughts? Everybody kind of worn out?
I'm in the worn out department.
I love this. I think this is beautiful. I think this went more beautifully than I could have expected. So I appreciate you guys for coming on. This has been a huge help.
Great introduction.
If there's anything that you want us to make sure that we put in the show notes or in the description, anything to advertise, Wilson Oasis, or any of the initiatives that you guys have going on, we'll throw anything that you want in there for sure. And if there's anything else we can do too moving forward, just put the word out there. Let us know what you want or what you like from us. Yeah.
Quick.
And same here too. If you guys need anything that I can support, or if you know anybody who needs the resources or you want the resources, please let me know. I'm all for it.
I'm pretty sure we will be, because we have this thing that we do on the side that we've just been doing just kind of for ourselves to kind of check in, called GRYSPACE. It's a unrecorded video calls with just 4 of us actually right now. But we had to talk about it last week, and we thought maybe we should expand it because we saw a need for a couple other brothers just to be able to have somewhere they can go and just speak openly. So maybe you guys already have spaces that might work for them, or maybe it's maybe we have to create a space that we just may need some help or some guidance in, or maybe we could just use a therapist to come in from time to time to one of these spaces or just some of these spaces.
Right, absolutely.
There are definitely some places I think we will be reaching back out and trying to figure out how we may be able to work together to create more opportunities for people like us to get some more help.
Absolutely.
On the Men's Health Mondays, is there a maximum number of people that you want for those?
I mean, at this point, I think 10 to 12 will be good.
Okay. Because I'll definitely tell a couple of people that I think might be interested in coming with me on the 2nd of May. See what we can get as far as turnout, but I'll definitely be there for sure.
Is the 2nd of May the first Monday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have all the dates in my head right now.
I literally just looked it up because I added it to my calendar to make sure I didn't forget. So.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah. And then so our Black Men Boat Ride is in June 17th, I think. It's the 3rd Saturday of the month.
Okay.
So that one would be just for Black men, and then my son will probably drive the boat. So even if it's for Black men, I try not to be the thorn in the side as being the only female. So like that, I try to make sure that it's a safe space for everybody, so that I know men want to talk about whatever, and it's not always as open when there's a woman aboard. So that one will be just for men.
Okay.
And then like I said, Malcolm has a meetup group, Black Men Real Talk. And I know he's trying to put together some stuff too for different locations, just for men to come out. I mean, a lot of people join that too. But I think it's the breakdown of like people interested and then people actually connecting. And I think
when are those, Malcolm?
Well, I have not developed a firm schedule just yet. Okay. I can send the link over to Sha. Got Sha's contact. I can send the link over to Sha. Maybe if you want to put it in the show notes or something.
Okay.
But what I try to do is, once again, it's wellness and therapy is not just happening in a therapeutic office. So try to support Black businesses, do a Black men's dinner, coffee and chat, things of that nature, that we can just be in safe spaces and have conversations that go below the surface level. So that's definitely something that we've added. So it's relatively new at this point, but it's definitely something we want to get ramped up the spring and the summer.
Yeah, man. Let me know. Like I said, I'll support in any way that I can, man. For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'll kind of share the word and see if I can get a couple people to come with me. That's how we grow.
Absolutely.
Sounds like we had another win tonight, then, huh?
I think so.
Beautiful.
I think so too.
Well,
and I learned to ask when I go into the grocery store where the object is at immediately, so I can get out of there quicker. So I'm gonna put that into practice tomorrow morning. Yeah. So
you adding hours to your life, baby.
I know, man. I know. And it's the little things.
Absolutely.
You guys want to give social media handles or websites you want to say them out loud just so people can hear them?
Oh, so we are Wilson Oasis at www.wilsonoasis.org. Our Facebook is at Wilson Oasis, WILSONOASIS. Our telephone number is 704-942-5270. The link for the mental health scholarship is on our website and on our Facebook page. The link is there. So if anybody wants it, they can just click the link.
Perfect. Thank you. Malcolm, did you have any other URLs or websites you wanted to share?
You can follow me on Instagram at legacy_of_wealth. I don't gotta spell it, hopefully. Legacy, all spelled regularly.
Yep, I'll put it in the description too.
Can have a website, www.healthwealthandhiphop.com. That is just 3 of my passions: health, mental, and physical. Wealth, obviously, because I'm trying to get my people rich, and I think hip hop is the glue that can bind all things. So check it out. Blog is there, some resources there. We'll have some merch soon. So we working.
Fantastic writing too.
Appreciate that.
It was beautiful writing. I actually talked to him about maybe doing some writing with us to we have nobody doing the written arm here, so maybe there'll be a chance for us to do something together. We'll see.
I got a dope pen. I just can't write rhymes though. But you know, my pen dope though.
Yeah, your pen game's on point. Poetry, right? You do poetry?
I do poetry. Yeah, wrote a book. I got a book of poetry. Working on another one. Got a book I'm working on. It's kind of meshing hip hop and financial advising. So I got a couple things I'm working on.
You ever do any of the poetry events around Charlotte?
So I'm super introverted.
Okay.
I don't even read my poems really. Like I just write them. But I'm being coaxed to get to get out of that uncomfortable space. So who knows where I might pop up and recite something.
I'm gonna see if Sounds of 16s is still happening. And when they used to be the last Thursday every month, but I haven't been in a while. But I'm gonna have to see if I can get you out and about one night and hop on the mic somewhere, man.
Okay. I mean, I get to the cliff and jump, so I might, hey.
I forgot we do have an Instagram page. I just when you said it, I was like,
I'm looking for it.
Want me to tell them what it is?
Underscore.
Yeah, I was gonna share it for you, but I mean, cause I'm a part of the team. That's the only reason. I wasn't trying to shine. Yeah, we all on the same team here. So yeah, each one teach one, right?
Absolutely.
That's perfect. We'll make sure we put them all in the description too, so everybody can get to them easily and click on them if they need help, if they heard them and just didn't have a chance to write them down. So thank you guys again for coming on. We really appreciate you both, and we look forward to talking to you both again.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me too.
I'm just glad we like some Charlotte folks on the call for a change, so I kind of got to dig in.
Yeah, you had that rush last week, huh? You got rushed by Marylanders last week.
Yeah.
All right, fellas and lady.
All right, fellas. Nice meeting you.
So much.
Bye.
Yes.